the moment fans around the world have been waiting for. It's time!
Well. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to 2 Cent Sports News and Entertainment. If you're new to the show, welcome. If you're a regular listener, you probably noticed we got a new opening. Somebody didn't like the fact that we were using music for our other openers, so we've got a new opening. That's the first I've heard it. I actually like it.
Do you?
Good job there, sir.
Thank you. I'm glad that you appreciate my skills.
At least you did something right.
For once. Anyway, I am your host. I am Scuba. And this is a 2 Cent Sports News and Entertainment. Over on the producer table and co-contributor, we have Mr. Zach, the coach.
That's right.
Of course, I guess he's not really coaching anymore, but
Okay.
we'll stick with the moniker. Anyway.
Yeah, you don't
not to rub salt in the wounds or anything.
You don't want me to go into that.
But off to my left here, we do have an in-studio contributor today, and your kiss of death when it comes to football picks, and our first official sponsor, Michael Butash, attorney at law. Say hello, Michael.
Hello, world.
Anyway, I am your host. Anyway, got some back feed on that one there.
It's okay.
So anyway, welcome to the show this morning. We got a pretty full lineup today, and hopefully everything will come through okay today. We have a couple guests lined up, and hopefully they will come through. We are expecting former LSU and New England Patriot running back Kevin Falk. I'm pretty excited about that. However, he does have church commitments, and our show isn't very friendly for the church-going folk. So, and being that he is in Louisiana and an hour behind us, that probably doesn't bode well either time-wise. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully he'll be able to call us in, and we'll be able to talk to him a little bit. So we also have a former Tampa Bay Storm, the Arena Football League offensive lineman Brad Serini, scheduled to call in as well. He's a friend of Zach's, and
It's kind of weird that I'm friends with a whole bunch of elderly men.
well, it's because you stalk them, and that's why Twitter is creepy. And
What?
That's why you're creepy, and you probably need to stop. But at any
Well,
rate,
wouldn't it be creepy for the opposite person, the older person, because, I'm a kid?
this is true.
Thank you.
But this isn't about me right now, for once. But anyway, with Arena Football getting ready to start here in a couple weeks, a month, the home opener at least in a month. So we'll talk to Brad a little bit about that. But before we go further, Zach, go ahead and give out all the contact information, social media aspects, and we'll go from there.
That's right, guys. If you'd like to call in on any topic discussed today, it's 813-639-8255. Like us on Facebook at 2 Cent Sports News and Entertainment. Follow me on Twitter, Scuba, not really the big Twitter guy, at 2 Cent Zach, live at Talk Wad Studios. Thank you, Mike Butash, our first official sponsor. And one little plug that I had for my friend because she told me to plug it, Taylor and her new YouTube channel. It's actually pretty funny. It's Taylor. M-E-H-H. It's Taylor. That's it. Done.
My partner is watching the show right now as we speak, I believe. So we have to say it's Butash and Donovan now.
Butash and Donovan.
Okay.
No, it's perfectly fine. I'm all for saying Mike Butash. We had a big argument as to whose name went first as far as the firm. Obviously, I won out. He's listening, and I'm sure he's going to start texting me. That's why I keep checking my phone.
Well, we will make the corrections.
No, that's perfectly fine.
I blame Zach because he did not tell me.
Whatever.
He doesn't know anything.
You blame me for everything.
Because it's your job to know these things. You just pass along the information to me, and then I pass it along to the people.
I've never been in a studio before, and I kind of feel like I'm in a mental institution.
Well,
with all the foam around here, I feel like I should be in a straitjacket and throw myself up against the wall.
Well, at least if you start banging your head and throw yourself against the wall, you're going to be protected. So
that's what it was like. I should have came here. That's what it was like when I was coaching with this guy over here.
Oh, whatever. Don't even no. It was not that bad coaching with me, and me and you had a fun old time, especially last season.
Oh, you're probably a big source of entertainment. How can you not have fun?
There was a pretty good reason why we didn't have too much fun. But anyway,
well, on my way here, I got to tell you, I'm getting all these. My birthday was Friday. I turned 40.
Happy birthday! How old are you now?
43.
And doesn't look a day over 40.
That's right. And I'm just getting all these subtle reminders of how old I really am. So I'm on my way here, and "Kiss Off" by Violent Femmes comes on. I'm like, one of my all-time favorite songs, and they had to mention, this song's 31 years old. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? And then I switched the channel real quick, and then I got a song that reminded me of our producer over here, and it was "Baby Got Back."
What?
And that song, believe it or not, is 22 years old. I'm like, older than you are. If you even know what the song is. I don't know if he even knows what the song is.
Have you ever heard it?
I heard that. I laughed so hard I fell off my dinosaur.
Like, seriously, how does that song remind me or remind you of me?
That's Sir Mix-a-Lot, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
All
Every
right.
once in a while, I had my early days of being into the rap scene.
I think we all did.
But it was like back when it wasn't really, all curse words and derogatory statements. It was back in the old school days
where he was walking around with the MC Hammer pants.
No.
And listen, I had a pair too.
But it wouldn't surprise me.
Problem is, I brought mine out after it was already done, so I was late on that matter, and I never did it again. But anyway, at any rate, yeah. So it's just all these ever settled. It just seems like yesterday I was just listening to these songs, and well, I probably was literally, but
yeah,
you know what I mean. Figuratively speaking, it seems like yesterday I was just listening to these songs on the radio, and they're 20, 30 some odd years old.
Wow.
It's I hate getting old.
You remember actually going to the mall, and we actually bought clothes at a place called Chess King.
Chess King, yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Heck yeah, I had a buddy of mine that worked at
50
Chess
years
King.
ago.
I had the green suit, I had the purple suit, I had off green suit, I had all that.
Yep.
So I was styling because I got serious hookups. It was
Right.
Chess King.
And then after Chess King, I think Structure took off, but I was never really a Structure guy.
Oh my god.
Yep.
Now it's all American Eagle and Gap and all Banana Republic and all that stuff.
Old
but
Navy,
Chess
boring
King.
clothes. Yep, Chess King, baby.
Used to go to the mall and hang out there. And
Get the thin ties. And,
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness. Yep,
those were the days, Zach.
Right.
Let me tell you, I am so glad I'm where I'm at now because I've seen what you guys wear or wore back in the day. My God.
Well, you'll be saying the same thing one day yourself. So don't look
Will
a
I?
gift horse in the mouth, my friend.
Okay.
But you got to be careful.
I do.
But anyway, at some point today, we're going to pick up where we left off last week, and that was a subject we had to cut off because we did have our call-in guest from last week.
He was a very sassy guest.
He was very good. I passed it along to a couple of my friends up in New York. Or one of my friends up in New York. It's a Jets fan. He absolutely loved the interview. He's kind of like myself. It was kind of before his time officially, but he loved it and loved that interview, and I did too. I thought Earl brought quite the energy, and I could definitely talk to him again, and maybe we will one day. So we'll see.
Is your friend that's the Jets fan, is he the one that does the cheers with and wears the fire hat?
No, I wish he was, but no.
That guy.
Actually, his name is Ed, though. However, but
Wow.
So, but no. He lived down here for a little while, but he moved back to New York. He just called me the other day on my birthday, and was talking to him, and he's moved back to New York over 11 years ago already, and it's like, wow. Again, time flies. Doesn't seem like he's been gone that long.
Well, Scuba, it looks like we have a caller. Caller, welcome to the show. What's up?
One day, so I'm following up with the discussion last week about.
Hey, I don't know where you are, but you should probably move because we can't hear a word you're saying.
I'm working on it.
All right.
Hold on.
All right.
And Zach, we're getting the feedback from our show feed.
That's him. He's
Okay.
watching our
Is it-
show. Yeah, you got to
okay.
move away from your computer.
Yep.
know. Can you
Must-
hear me
must
now?
be Wally.
I just turned you off. So
Yeah.
Okay.
We can hear you now.
So welcome. Is this Wally? Is this our big NCAA stipend caller?
Well, I'm big and I support paying NCAA athletes, so yes, that would be me.
Okay.
Oh, here
All
we
right,
go.
Well, this is a subject matter. I was kind of introducing it. And I got Wally call back. I appreciate you calling back.
Oh, boy.
We did have to cut it off short last week. And we'll get into the conversation some more, and we'll keep it a conversation. I'd like to kind of make sure that we keep it as an exchange, and let's remember this is my show. I dictate what happens here.
Ouch.
I will give you your points, but this isn't going to be an argument. This isn't going to be a debate. It's going to be a discussion, and that's why I offered to have you come back on. But so we'll go from there. And
well, I wasn't here last week, and I only listened to part of the show, so I'm going to be the impartial judge here.
Okay.
All right.
Well, it's not really a contest, but you can help mediate, or if you even have something yourself to.
I have a.
May I make just an opening statement?
Yes, sir.
Here we go. I'm old. Okay. So when you guys are complaining about being 40, I've got probably T-shirts that are older than you are.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get them at Chess King? Did you buy them at Chess King?
No, you missed the best store in Tampa. It's now closed down.
What was that?
The Army-Navy store on North Tampa.
Okay. All right.
I actually remember that store.
I used to shop at the Army-Navy store a couple times. And
The Army-Navy shore?
Yeah, I know. Listen. Yeah. It's all right.
During the Cuban Missile Crisis, the owner was on a plane either coming back from Miami or, he was hijacked to Cuba.
What?
And this is after the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Right.
Yeah.
No. Okay.
And the owner was on a plane hijacked to Havana, and the Cubans took him off the plane and grilled him for hours, asking if he was selling uniforms and military equipment, etc., to Cuban nationals. My hand to God.
Interesting. And that's kind of when plane jackings were kind of almost a regular occurrence. So.
Yep.
All right, so here we go. It's time for the big disagreement. Wally, you're up first. Go ahead.
Well, thank you. I was thinking about this this week. To me, Mr. DJ, will you agree that scholastic or scholarships are a form of compensation paid to the athletes?
Yes, I think we can agree to that. And let me stipulate real quick too. And I'm not trying to cut you off on purpose, but I am.
Fine.
I want to make a point clear because I don't want this to be. I want this to be clear that this is not. My position isn't so much that I don't think that athletes should be paid. It kind of is, but my major point is that if there's no way to do it, then no, you shouldn't do it. And that's kind of more my position. So I just want to kind of throw that out there. But anyway, but I think obviously, all right, so your first point, yes, I think we can mutually agree. And that was one of my points that I did hit on last week, that, the scholarships and all the extra training and tutoring and all the other extra curriculars that people are given, that is definitely a form of payment.
Okay. Now, so may we also agree that it now is a question of I think it's your term, source of payment. If there's a source to pay additional compensation, then perhaps the athletes who play all sports, not just the revenue-producing sports, should also receive additional compensation?
I can't quite agree on that because I'm not on that full position. I still believe that with the compensation that they do receive with regards to scholarships, again, tutoring, all the other aspects and so forth that are afforded to these athletes that regular students are not afforded, is a form of payment, and you really can't argue that fact. I mean, and just to make my point, a most recent report came out that in 2010, Division I schools with a football program spent an average of almost $92,000 per athlete, and only $13,600 per student. That's 7 times the amount of spending on an athlete than they did on a student. So that's kind of where my argument starts from, is that you can't tell me that these athletes aren't already getting paid and getting more benefit than the average student.
Well, did that study tell you how they arrived at that $91,000 amount?
Yes, and it's a compilation of all the things that I just kind of listed. Your scholarship, your room, your board. They do get a stipend out of their scholarships that does afford them a certain amount of spending money per month. They get other services that regular students still have to pay for, whether it be tutoring. They get massage therapy, physical therapy, all medical care and so forth and so on. Again, that these students aren't getting. I mean, the list goes on and on. So there are avenues and venues for which these athletes do benefit more than the regular and average student, and these are supposed to be student athletes.
I'm not an accountant. Accounting was too hard in college, but
I agree.
Let's look at both sides of the ledger.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's say on the left ledger is the benefit to the student athlete, and on the right side of the ledger is the benefit to their athletic program.
Mm-hmm.
So if I have a tough day at practice and I'm sore and stiff, and I can go to and get a massage or sit in the whirlpool and all of that, that's my benefit, and that's to the benefit of the team. So again, I'm not an accountant, but they should then zero out. There's no benefit. Since they both are equal, the team benefits from having students that aren't being injured, athletes that aren't being injured, or their injuries being treated quickly. The team benefits as well as the athlete. So that should be a zero-sum game. And I'd be curious if you started that type of analysis, what benefit does the team get from having students eating healthy, their athletes eating healthy, getting medical care, etc. Those should be zeroed out because the team benefits from that. And the team, my Florida Gators, are going to put very well-conditioned, well-trained, I hate the word trained, well-conditioned, well-instructed athletes on the field, and the team gains that benefit, as do the alumni who spend all that money to come relive their glory days, whether they ever had glory days or not, at whatever the name of the football field is these days.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's to me, it's more of a complicated formula, because to offset that $91,000 is the fact that University of Florida Athletic Association, a not-for-profit organization, does not pay any income tax. They make buckets of money on these student athletes, even when they provide all the training table, health care, massages, whirlpools, all of that, and they're still making an awful lot of money.
Okay, Wally,
go ahead. That's fine.
I want to try to kind of respond to some of your points. I'm going to let you continue, but if you give me too much,
can I say something real fast? Just to your point, Wally, when you mentioned about the conditioning of the University of Florida athletes that were out there, and the compensation and all that, the way that they performed on the field this year, I think that the fans should actually bill the athletes.
Now
we won't turn. All right, we won't turn this into a trash talking.
You said that you went to the University of Florida.
Yeah, that's
you
right.
kind of lost a little bit of credibility with me.
I went to talking.
No. I'm the.
He's the sit-in host.
I'm the sit-in host today, so that was it.
He's a neutral observer.
I know. I'm trying to be neutral, but when you
so
what we should do is we should just say it was USF or something, just so that, because I didn't go to I went to Florida State, so now I'm gonna have to.
Let's just call it HTLL.
Actually, since you brought up the University of Florida, and I want to address this point that University of Florida is actually, and this is why I think that your point is where it's at, because University of Florida is actually one of about 22 or 23 Division I athletic programs that does actually make money out of nearly 230 athletic programs in the country. That's a very small percentage of schools that actually make money. Now, what you also have to look at is, how does the University of Florida actually make money in their athletic program? And what you are failing to recognize is that they do it at the expense of the actual academic programs. And that, to me, is unacceptable. And basically, Florida, and actually the amount of money that they make is really not all, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, $10 million is a lot of money. And I believe that the last numbers I actually was able to find, I think the University of Florida did clear about $10 million. Now, that sounds like a lot to you and me, but it's really not when you're considering how much is actually going in. What a lot of people don't realize is how much these athletic programs actually spend. And that's why there's over 200 plus athletic programs that actually lose money. In fact, you may or may not be seeing that I'm wearing a UConn basketball jersey today. The University of Connecticut is actually a perfect prime example. They lost a couple years ago, even when they won the national championship in basketball, their athletic program lost $15 million that year, and they are a powerhouse program when it comes to basketball. University of Kansas is the same way. Duke, their athletic programs lose money. There's only, so out of the 20, the top program to actually make money is the University of Texas. But again, you're talking 20 some odd programs out of 200. And getting back to the point of Florida, is that Florida actually cut their engineering and computer science programs in order to make up gaps in money that they lost out on, because the state of Florida actually, by law, will not allow tuition increases. And therefore, the only way that they can make up for budget cuts is, and they're not going to cut their athletic programs. So what they do is they cut their engineering programs, they cut their computer science programs, and any other the athletic programs continue to thrive. So
now,
go ahead. I just wanted to throw that out there. Now you can go ahead.
The Florida athletic program, isn't the University Athletic Association a freestanding entity?
Legally, yes. Yes.
It contracts with the University of Florida and buys scholarships but it's on its own. It's freestanding. Now, I do not believe the Florida State athletic program is freestanding. I think it's tied in with the university. That's my understanding.
I don't know.
But so I think that's a major distinction.
No, you're right. Florida does have.
Wait a minute. To blame the University of Florida athletic program that's in and of itself self-sufficient for its money-making teams and non-money-making teams, and then to say because of the freestanding University Athletic Association, the University of Florida has had to cut its programs. You're pointing the rifle at the wrong culprit. It's the Florida legislature. It's not the University Athletic Association that's cutting back the money for education, and that's where the problem is with the decline in education dollars for Florida upper division Florida colleges. It's the legislature, because those men and women don't want to raise sales taxes, et cetera, because they believe, and we can talk about this at another time, right, that government is evil, and government's not evil. But we'll keep moving on. Let's just focus on the athletic issue.
Okay, but all right. Well, let me answer that one point real quick. Yes, you are correct. Florida sports teams are, by all intents and purposes, are an independent business. However, they are still funded through the university, and in order for the university to make up for the budget cuts that do come down from the legislature and so forth, the only way that they can do that is to cut. They can cut their athletic programs or the expenses in their athletic programs, or they can cut from from the academic programs, and they choose to cut the academic programs rather than their athletic programs. I can point you to an article that outlines exactly what I'm talking about. If you don't believe me,
I agree with everything you said about we cannot and should not be cutting academic programs. Absolutely. Okay, absolutely. I went to the University of Florida. My mother was a very poor school teacher, and somehow, truly, we paid for my college education. And I resented the fact, frankly, that there were no academic scholarships back in the early 70s, et cetera. So I frankly think, I think for every dollar spent for athletic scholarships, et cetera, there should be matching dollars for non-academic scholarships. Mm-hmm. So because the business of the university is education, not athletics.
I think we agree there.
You and I will agree on that completely.
Absolutely. And here's the thing, though. Here's the difference. Here's the difference with the scholarships, though, Wally, is that the athletic scholarships aren't all of them. They aren't all funded by the schools themselves. They're actually funded by boosters. And do you think
Right.
you think the boosters that have already graduated and so forth give a crap about the students that are going there? No, they care about the athletic programs doing well, so their school looks well or looks good in front of the rest of the country. So, wherein I don't necessarily disagree with what you're saying about the matching scholarship thing. I think that's a great idea. But the problem that you have inherently is that there's just no way to do that because, again, the athletic scholarships are getting paid for by boosters and donations and so forth through the alumni associations that aren't going to donate that money to go towards the regular students. So the avenues and the streamlines for where those funds come from just are on an unequal plane as well. So I mean, I agree with the concept. Again, my point is that it's not a feasible way to do it, and that's why I'm against it. So that's again, okay.
Well, we haven't discussed something that's perhaps we should now discuss.
Okay.
If there's sources of revenue that could be located to help underwrite students, student athletes, for instance. My gosh, how much money does the NFL make every year?
Right.
I would imagine a substantial amount of that money they make is because they have the NCAA football program as their farm teams, compared to what baseball has to pay to maintain their farm teams. The NFL doesn't because it looks to the NCAA football teams in all divisions to provide the talent that the NFL needs. And
well,
would there be some concept of the NFL saying, hey, you're saving us a fortune on a farm system, we can contribute money to the NCAA to underwrite scholarships or whatever for all levels of Division 1A, Division 1, Division 2, Division 3? If it's a question of raising revenue, because what bothers me is there is a very fast running back. Here's my example. Very fast running back in Florida back when I was around. Their name was Willie Wilder. Willie was in the run. My senior year, the slowest man in the Florida football field running back when they ran the wishbone was Jimmy DuBose, and the poor guy only got by with a 10-400-yard sprint. He was the slowest man. He was a fullback. Everybody else ran sub 10-second 100. That was Willie Wilder. Willie Wilder did not graduate did not earn a degree at Florida, and he was found, I think, by the Orlando Sentinel several years later. He was a janitor in a high school in Orlando. So they aren't these. The tragedy of these athletes is they get a 4-year degree, and a lot of them don't graduate. A lot of them don't make it in the pros, and then what do they have to show for it? Now, compensation in the 4 years is not going to give them, well, at least you made a good living while you were at the University of Florida. But to re-examine the whole process of, we promise these athletes 4-year education, and a lot of them don't get it, et cetera. So, frankly, I want to let's re-examine the entire system so that we're providing education for these students, and if we can afford to give them a little more money, all the better. But let's focus on what these universities are about, which is education.
Right.
Education for everybody.
Okay, well, all right. Well, you just touched on a point, though, that some of them don't get the education. Well, whose fault is that? That's not necessarily the university's fault. These kids have the opportunity. They're there as a student athlete, quote unquote, and if they choose to, they're just there for their own athletic purposes, and they blow off class, or they don't attend class, or they don't, put in the extra time to do the studies. I'm not going to blame the university for that. I'm going to blame that kid that's, for his own purposes, is using the school just as much as the school is using him. Now, I mean, you also mentioned about, well, this is like a minor league system for the NFL. You're absolutely correct. So wouldn't you agree, though, that these kids that are going to these universities, whether it be 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, or what have you, that are basically on stage for display as basically your job interview, that you're getting the benefit of being on TV, you're getting national exposure, you're getting being access to for a job with a professional sports team, wherein those of us that are in the regular academic scheme of things we don't get noticed. We have to put together a nice paper resume or digital resume these days, get them out, and hope that an employer actually notices that and then wants to pick up the phone, give us a call, or or even in Mike's case over here, he's got to go still take Florida bar exam and take that next step.
I passed it, by the way.
Well, let's hope so.
The first time.
So,
well, now let's go back to let's deal with a day in the life of a college athlete when he's on display, and a day in your life and my life when I was hanging out at campus, whether or not I went to class. And good luck with the Florida bar. It's
I passed it. I've been practicing for about 17 years now. So
if you have fun with that.
Well, he's been practicing for 17 years, so he passed it a long time ago.
I practice nothing.
Okay, congratulations. And you need to punch this guy who misled those who I can't obviously look on the tube because I may get feedback. I thought you were just recently minted. My apologies.
No, that's fine.
It's okay.
I never stood the risk of walking into class and getting blindsided by a guy faster, bigger, and stronger than I was, and blowing out one or both knees, suffering a concussion, and ending my academic career because all I can do now is drink food through a straw. A very good quarterback, back to the Florida Gator days, back in the Stone Age. Great quarterback, Don Gaffney, out of Jacksonville.
Jabbar Gaffney's father.
His last game, he was the first of the Gaffney brothers to play the part. His last game, playing on Doug's rug, that stupid AstroTurf crap, he fell and he broke his right wrist. He was right-handed, and they had to fuse the bone. He was headed to an NFL career as a quarterback or some athlete.
Right.
That 1 nanosecond, his career was over.
Well, his football career was over, but why is his career over? Because if you're a student athlete, Wally, and I'll let you finish your point. I will. If you're a student athlete, and if you have a devastating injury as an athlete, and now your athletic opportunity is gone, then don't you still owe it to yourself to then have something academically to fall back on?
Well, that's a wonderful example, and let's wrap yourself in the flag. But Don Gaffney, the previous play, had a multi-million-dollar career as an athlete ahead of him.
Mm-hmm.
He broke his arm, and believe it or not, he went on to Florida Law School, became a lawyer.
Perfect.
But you go from a multi-millionaire potential to being someone's hourly employee. That's what lawyers are. So, yes, he was going to make a living practicing law, but he wasn't going to make the millions as an NFL quarterback. That's the distinction.
Well, I don't know. I know quite a bit of attorneys that are millionaires, and they have a career. That they can do for.
You're missing the point.
Well, no, I'm not, because you can still do, as a lawyer, you can still practice law for 20, 30, 40 years. As an NFL player, you can only do that for about 4 or 5 years. And as we've talked previously on this show, 80% of all NFL players are broke within 2 to 3 years of being outside the league. So basically, your argument doesn't hold any water.
Now you're going to blame them for that as well.
I will. It's not.
That's a whole other discussion we've had before.
It is their problem that they go out and they spend their money and they waste their money and they donate it to their friends and give it to the people, and they just give it away basically. And when people like Vince Young, who end up broke, it's their own fault.
But we digress a little bit. I mean, that's a whole other subject matter, and we could talk. But it is. I mean, it does kind of tie into a certain degree. I mean, I guess my point is too is that where you may be advocating that we pay these athletes in college, and I'm not going to make any assumptions about you. Let's just say it's Joe Blow. Let's just say Joe Blow is an advocate for these athletes getting paid in college. Well, Joe Blow is probably also the same guy that sits there and complains about how much these athletes make when they go pro. And I'm not saying that about you because I don't know. We haven't talked on that subject. And that's a part that gets me, is that you'll have somebody that sits there and wants to advocate for college players to get paid, who are basically in college for the most part in athletics to try to get to the next level to make millions of dollars. And then that same person that was okay with them getting money so they could go to McDonald's is now pissed off that they're making $5-6 million a year. I mean, which is it? Do you want them to get paid in college, but not when they get in pros? I mean, or do you want them, do you want them to be broke their whole life? Now, again, I'm not saying that about you per se. I don't know your take on that, but that's what I get from a lot of people that want to take that stance is that they're hypocritical.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. Because we can even reserve this for another topic, and we have a nice long list of topics to be discussed later.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what's the average age? All right, an NFL player has by definition, has a short career because, as Satchel Paige, probably you guys never heard of, they never look behind you because they may be gaining on you. These guys are lawyers get better with age, like wine.
Mm-hmm.
NFL players don't because they're bigger, faster, stronger players coming up.
Correct.
There was a recent article in the New York Times about an All-Pro Hall of Fame left tackle for the Dallas or right tackle for the Dallas Cowboys, number 80, who suffered innumerable concussions. They just kept, bandaging up and kept going in. He's 68. He's 8 years older than I am, and he is fast. His mental capacity, he's suffering early Alzheimer's because of the terrible brain damage he suffered.
Right.
So, no, what these men go up against and deal with, all for the greater glory of their owners, the owners of the NFL. No, I would reverse it. I would say the owners are not entitled to the money they make. It's a risk-free job. It's a risk-free business because of Pete Rozelle and the NFL and the television contracts. They're all a bunch of socialists because they split the take evenly. So, we aren't here to indict the NFL. There's plenty to say about that, but we got to let's get back to the money that is made on college football at all divisions.
But there aren't. But I've already outlined for you that that's not the case. That's a misnomer.
But how much money do these schools receive, or who gets the money for the bowl games, for all the game of the week? All of that money has to end up somewhere.
Right.
Those are contractual. Who gets that money?
But Wally, all that money goes back out to the athletic programs to build new facilities. Do you know what it costs for a football team to travel to a bowl game, for instance? I mean, just for it costs millions of dollars just to send a team to a bowl game, especially if you send because you're not. Again, you're not. Hold on, let me finish. Because you're not just sending the team; you're sending the bands. You're sending the cheerleaders, the color guard, all the staff, all the personnel. It's millions of dollars. Do you realize that how many teams actually go to bowl games actually end up losing money? It's not, I mean, yes, they get all this money in, but the money that they go spending out, that's why there are only 22, 23 schools in Division I that actually make money, and the other 200 lose money each and every year. And that's what people don't understand. It's like everything that you've said, the TV contracts and this and that, all that is accounted for. But all the expenses involved in what these athletic programs are doing to make sure that they're visible and that they're competing and not just falling by the wayside is why these athletic programs lose money. If they didn't do that, then you would basically see 20 or 22 teams on top of every sport. You'd have Florida and Texas battling for the national title every single year, hands down, no question, because they're the only one of 2 of 20 schools that make money in their athletic programs. Right. So that's what happens.
Let's agree that that's your position.
It's not my position. It's a fact. Well,
you have restated it. You've restated it and restated it.
Okay, but it's a fact. You keep dismissing it. Hold on. No. Again, wait. Wally, this is my show. Again, remember, you're dismissing. Okay. This is not an opinion. Okay, this is not an opinion. I am stating a fact. And if you don't believe me, all you've got to do is simply Google college athletic programs making money, and you will find several articles on this. USA Today has written an article on this almost every single year. So don't dismiss this as my opinion. This is an actual fact. There is no. You cannot argue a fact. So okay, go ahead.
Make you mad, and I apologize.
Well, you're not making me mad. You're not making me mad. I just don't like being talked over on my own show. So
I'm just curious.
To another question.
Yes, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, would you find the same articles if you use Bing?
Probably so.
Okay, that's fine.
But my point is, the research is out there. I just want to make it clear, because you seem to keep dismissing it as, oh, well, that's your opinion. Well, no, it's not my opinion.
No,
it's a fact. There's articles and it's all documented fact. So you don't be dismissive of it. I mean,
I'm not being dismissive.
Okay,
I'm not.
fair enough.
All I was saying was, you've made your point. Okay, you've made your point. Now, how about this question?
Mm-hmm.
How many bowl games are there right now?
About 15 to 22
No,
many.
There's 32.
There are 32 bowl games.
Correct.
And if you win 6 games, right, you're guaranteed to go to a bowl game.
Correct.
I don't know if you're guaranteed, but that's what
You're
makes it
eligible.
qualify.
You're eligible.
Yeah.
You're eligible.
Right.
You're eligible to go. If these schools that were making, and I just want, this is what comes to me when I read that, because there was such a huge increase just a few years ago because of this. I can't think of whatever that stupid system of choosing a national title, which is champion, which they've now changed, but whatever it's called. I just was amazed how many, all of a sudden, out of the blue, we had the Ichiki, Awawi, South Central, Hillsborough County bowl game, because the cities were clamoring to host a bowl, and the football teams were clamoring to go to a bowl game.
Right.
If the schools who are clamoring to go to a bowl game know that they're going to lose money in the process, then we can either have, why do you want to do it? Why do you want to go somewhere just so you can lose money?
Exposure.
Or
exposure for your school, which I already mentioned to you. That's why these athletic programs are willing to take losses in their athletic programs, because if they want to remain competitive, they still want their schools to be out there and noticed. And just real quick, just so you know, for instance, Virginia Tech went to the Orange Bowl in 2011. That by them going to the Orange Bowl in 2011, that athletic program lost $421,000 by going to that bowl game. $421,046 to be exact, but I just kind of reiterating my point. I'm going to keep hitting it because that's kind of my point. You keep saying that, they go to these bowl games, get these millions, and I'm trying to point out to you where they don't. In all instances.
But to me, that's a fascinating concept, because if I was working for a company and said, guess what, we're going to go on a trip and we're going to lose $400,000, I don't know if I have my job that long. Wait a minute, but exposure. I keep my simple point is, I think we agreed at the beginning of the conversation that if there were sources of revenue, right. I've suggested, should the NFL be underwriting some all football programs? They make billions. They're socialists with their TV contracts. Could that be a source of revenue? I mentioned this to my brother. He laughed at me. He said, "What about the millions that are paid these head coaches and their coaching staffs? Could those salaries somehow be cut back a little bit? I mean, does Nick Saban really need to make $10 million a year? Whatever the guy at FSU makes, whatever the guy at Florida makes, the fortunes that are paid these men, and they're men, should not there be some? I'm a tax lawyer. Should there be a surtax, some type of like a luxury tax that the Yankees have to keep paying to say, you guys, if you're going to pay Nick Saban millions of dollars every year, then there's going to be some type of assessment on that, so that we can help the student athletes that make all the money. I'm sorry, that run the risk and all the injuries and take all the blame when Coach Saban loses a national title because he didn't kick a field goal early enough. But obviously, I'm not a Nick Saban fan. How can a man who's paid millions blame amateur athletes for his bad coaching decisions? But that's for another day.
Right.
That's my whole point. Find a source of revenue.
But that's inherently the problem, though, that you run into. So, and that's really the main gist of it, is that the salaries for a lot of these coaches too. Again, a lot of these salaries by the coaches it's not strictly from the university. University usually has a flat rate, and then the rest of this money comes from the boosters. So we've got to kind of put that in perspective. But you made a point just a minute ago. If I was working for a company that was losing money, I might not have a job very, very long. Well, guess what? That's exactly what happens in these athletic programs. They cut athletic programs that aren't revenue generating. I actually, when I went to school, they cut our wrestling program and so forth like that, which was actually fairly successful. But outside of the Big 12 and Big 10, who gives a crap about college wrestling? Right. But that's what happens, is that the non-revenue generating sports get cut. Staffing and I already mentioned about the situation at the University of Florida. They cut the engineering and computer science program. Yeah. So they had staff and faculty that were out of jobs. They had a building, I believe, actually, I may be mistaken on this point. I think they actually tore down a building to make room. And that I may be incorrect about, but the whole situation itself is the same. But you're exactly right. So these athletic programs are losing money. So what do? Well, they cut jobs and so forth. So it does happen. The problem is that the priorities are incorrect. Now I can kind of get towards your advocacy for this whole thing if there wasn't if the money was there. Now if the roles were reversed and 200 schools were making money instead of 22, I'd be all for, and we could probably talk. But then you start running into the other problems, and we're going to be going to a break here in a moment, Wally. So I am going to go off on a little bit of a tangent here. So the other problem you're going to start running into is that then if you decide to go down that path, then you run into the whole main issue of, okay, how do you start paying these student athletes, and do you do it fairly across the board? Are you going to pay, Jameis Winston, a Heisman Trophy national championship winner, the same as much as you're going to pay a girl on the field hockey team?
Obviously not.
So how do you start making that distinction of who gets what and how much? And if you only decide to pay the student athletes in revenue generating sports, well, that leads into other equity issues. It's a look, good intentions, no matter how good they are, always have unintended consequences that go along with them. That's true in government, that's true in business, and it's definitely true in athletics. And if payment begins where there's no cap, then you start turning everything into a bidding war between colleges for players. And then when you run into that situation and bring up my point where there's only 20 some odd schools out of 220 that are making money, you are then stuck with a situation like I mentioned, that you're going to have 20 schools that are going to be competing for everything, and everybody else doesn't really matter, and everybody else becomes insignificant.
All right. May I make two points, please?
Quickly, because we got to go to a break in a couple minutes.
Real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Please just put this in your memory bank.
Mm-hmm.
What does Under Armour, Nike, all these various athletic suppliers pay for those teams to wear their outfits? And two, or their equipment. And two, we all
that's also another benefit of payment, by the way.
Okay, these athletes are already on a flat payment already. Mm-hmm. Because that they get a scholarship. And I said at the beginning of my statement, which is if you're a Division 1A, whatever, all the students in each of these programs get the same amount of money. It's not based on you're a quarterback, you're a guard, you're a woman gymnast, etc. It's all the same compensation, so that you don't have this problem. And here's one more war story.
Mm-hmm.
Good old Charlie Pell, back in the Gator days, got run out of town because the corruption was just rampant. The $100 bills showing up in players' shoes after practice. The corruption is there. It hasn't gone away. And no offense, sir, but are you getting close to whistling past this train wreck of the corruption that is today college athletics? And if you put caps and you regulated it better, the corruption you could gain control of the corruption. Because I think we both would agree that there is financial corruption. And if there was a tighter control over all of this, that corruption and all those lessons that you're giving the wrong messages to these young athletes, you could gain control over, because that's the 800-pound gorilla in the room, the current corruption, because these students are not getting all the financial assistance they perhaps believe they're entitled to. So the boosters are breaking the law, and they're coming in and they're screwing up the system royally, and we haven't even addressed that, and that's again for another day.
Right, and here's another thing. Not you. When I say you, I just mean in general. Okay, not you specifically necessarily. Another thing that you don't necessarily take into account is, and one final problem is, is that there would be a need to address Title IX. So Title IX, does that apply to paying student athletes as well? I mean, if so, it's impossible to only pay student athletes in revenue sports, because then that would involve because then you have an inordinate amount of male athletes to female athletes, but with Title IX, that requires that pay for women's athletics would be on par for male athletes, because the programs have to be somewhat balanced. So then you must pay all student athletes, and that's just almost. We've already established that that's financially not feasible. I mean, I think we can agree that there's no perfect way to address the issue and worth of a college athlete or a team to a particular university. And I think that's also why you find that pro teams routinely end up with athletes whose contracts are far more than they appear to be worth. It's basically a good guess of future performance, and that's the best that you can really do. How do you do that with college athletics? Because it would still be the same thing. So, you got a kid coming in as a 5-star athlete. Oh, well, he's going to be worth X amount of dollars. So, what if that 5-star athlete turns out to be a 1-star dud? Does he continue to get the same amount, or does he get adjusted accordingly? And then the 1-star comes in, he actually turns out to be the real 5-star. Do you adjust and give it back to him? So, I mean, is the business of college athletics unfair to people who play these games? Absolutely. Sure it is sometimes. But, unless there's proof that colleges and universities are improperly using athletic revenues, I mean, I'm not sure really where the problem is. I think the priorities are the issue, and the one thing is that students, they sign letters of intent and they make an agreement to accept scholarships to play sports at these schools. It's a choice that they make. And they make that choice knowing that this school is going to make money off of them, off of their efforts and what they're doing on the field. And they are, by signing that letter of intent, which is why athletics have to sign these letters of intent, because it's an agreement that this is what's going to happen. It's no different than a professional athlete signing a contract. So in essence, they are kind of working as a minor league system. So
there's a very simple response to that you want to go on break.
Well, we're going to go on a break for here a second, but let me wrap up my point. And so what I'm getting at is that they basically agreed to the rules of the game when they chose this school or that program that they wanted to use. And the parents are equally as responsible, because these kids aren't necessarily 18 yet, that they have agreed to put their child prodigy or star in a position to get paid once his college career is over. And which is why every college athlete needs to probably ask themselves, okay, if the school isn't trying to make money off of that kid, then why did they recruit them in the first place? And that's a big question you have to ask yourself. So, and the answer to that really is simply to help them win. And what comes with winning in the business of sports? You got packed arenas, you got packed stadiums, you got television,
money.
You got television, you got shoe companies providing you with clothing. You've got global fan bases. You're on stage setting yourself up to have a career once your playing days are over, hopefully. And we obviously, the small percentage of people that actually have a pro career is small and minute. So you're still making a conscious choice to go out there and play for these athletes, even though we clearly know that there's guys on these teams that play 4 years, and they know that when 4 years is up, they're never going to play sports again, and that's understandable. But I think when you agree to a full free ride at a university, whether you're a football player, basketball player, or otherwise, you know what you're getting into, and the game plays your resume, and you get some benefits on it. But listen, Wally. I don't think we disagree as much as we may probably agree.
No, you're right.
I think it's the way that we're trying to get to that vortex is where we're disagreeing. And my whole point is, if you can't get there, then we could talk about it all day. But if it's not financially feasible, it's not something that should be done and can be done. And that's kind of where we're at. And I think I agree with you. If there were a way to do it, I think we could have a different conversation in the matter.
Right.
Okay.
We will agree that. Well, you have come to the conclusion that we can't make it work, so let's still try. And I will disagree with you.
Well, I did say that. Now, don't put words in my mouth. I did say that we can't try.
I'm trying not to.
Okay. Well, I mean, But I've already laid out that the schools are losing money, so really it's not a matter of let's not try. The only way you can try is to not spend money on your athletic programs and try to get everything balanced and even, and that's just not something that's going to happen. It's not possible. It can't be done. So it's not that I don't think we should try. There's just not a way to do it. And any of these schools, again, consciously make the choice to go in, to lose money just so their schools can be competitive with others that don't have that same issue. It's just an imbalanced system, and there's just no way to do it. Wally, listen, I know you probably have more to say. I'm up against the clock. I do have to take a break, and I do have a caller coming in. I do appreciate you calling in, and I hope
I enjoyed this very much.
Okay,
you did an excellent job.
All right, excellent. And I hope you can call in again and keep listening. Okay.
You got it. All right, thanks.
Thanks, Wally.
Bye.
Okay.
All right. So what's going to happen is I believe that was our special guest, and I missed it because Wally was on the phone with us. We can go to break.
Yeah.
Play the Mike Butash commercial.
Call him back.
I will.
We are going to go to a break. Stay tuned. 2 Cent Sports News.
Are you in need of legal assistance? Michael G. Butash, attorney at law, may be able to help. A solo practitioner who will provide you the individual attention needed to walk you through your case. Attorney Butash can help you in areas of criminal defense, personal injury, DUI offense, drug possession, and more. Call today for a free initial consultation. Pick up the phone and dial 727-478-4324.
Hello. Is this Brad Serini?
Yes.
Brad Serini. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good. This is Steve, Scuba, the host here. Appreciate you calling in. We talked several times after storm games. You probably know me if you saw me, but
oh no, I definitely remember. How's it going?
Pretty good, man. I understand you're taking the season off, or maybe not going to play anymore. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm taking the season off after my season-ending injury last year. I wanted to take a little break from football and start a career.
Right.
But there's a big possibility that I might come back to football.
Uh-oh. Well, how is that injury coming along?
Right now it's perfect. You know, it took a while with all the traveling from Tampa back to New York and Miami too, where I live.
Mm-hmm.
But finally I was able to rehab in New York and took care of it and did very well.
Good to know. So you said you were wanted to focus on a career. What is it that you're doing these days?
I actually just got my Florida real estate license yesterday. I passed the state exam.
Uh-oh, look out.
So yeah, that's what I wanted to do. I figured I'd use my smile for something.
Well, there you go. That'll work. So, all right. So, yeah, you've been busy, the rehab, little real estate tests and so forth. You still keeping up with what's going on in the league and so forth?
Yeah, I still, I follow it all on Facebook and Instagram, and I still talk to a couple of buddies that are in the league. So I know a little bit.
Gotcha. I gotcha. Now, you've been playing football for quite a while, and obviously you've made the conscious choice to, whether you be sit out a year or, whether you just decide not to come back at all. As a professional athlete, and yes, ladies and gentlemen, arena football is a professional football league, contrary to popular belief. What's that transition like? How is that like for you? Because and I asked this simply because I actually just saw the Eddie George special on TV last night about a professional athlete transitioning out of their sport. They've just been playing virtually, since they were a little kid. Can you tell me about what that's been like for you personally?
It's a lot different, your whole life is football, and that's what you've been doing since you were a kid. So when you transition out of it, it is different, but it's peaceful for me. My body feels a lot better.
Well, I would hope so.
My body does feel very good, so that is the one benefit of it. It is a little different, because football, it's very sporadic. Do a lot of traveling, meetings are at different times. You go off of a schedule. Without it, I have a lot more free time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do work full time, but besides that, I get to go home afterwards. I don't go to workouts, or I don't go to another meeting or a plan, anything like that. So it's peaceful. It's not bad.
Right. Well, and you just made a point. You're working full time and such. Now, tell me something about what goes on, like with a normal, like today's arena football player. Now, I know in the early years of arena football, it was. I'm not to be degrading or anything like that. I'll make a point here. They were kind of like weekend warriors that played on the weekend, and then they had full-time jobs during the week. Like Stevie Thomas, Storm Hall of Famer. He was a cop during the week, a cop during the week, and a Hall of Fame receiver on the weekend. So that's kind of what I meant by that comment. But
that's very true.
And then as the league started to expand and got a little bit bigger, before what happened a few years ago, guys were actually making pretty decent money where they weren't necessarily having to work, and now it's kind of transitioned back to the way it is now. So while you're playing, I know that the money's not what it used to be, in the high point of the league.
That was another big thing for me, too, because
Mm-hmm.
I also do a lot better now than I did when I played. Unfortunately, I love football, but, when it comes down to it, it has to do with, how much you make a week.
Right.
You got to support yourself and your family.
Yep.
So that to me was a big thing. So that's why I said I wanted to get a career first. And then eventually with real estate, you get a little bit of a wiggle room where you be able to do things on your own if you do well with it.
Absolutely.
So, there is a possibility that I can go back to football, just not right now.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Now, here's the other thing. I don't know what you got paid, and I don't know what most of the guys play. I know it's probably, I know it's only around a few $100s or so here or there, and certainly that's, like you said, you got to support a family and so forth and so on. I know back in the day they used to also provide like housing and transportation. Do they still do that now, or is that not even on the table?
No, they still do that. I stayed at the Mainsail Suites, and right next to the airport.
Yep, I know where that's at. Mm-hmm.
So, the living wasn't bad, actually. The hotel was nice. You got your room cleaned once a week. You got fresh towels, so you can't argue with that.
Okay.
We did have transportation, even though I like to drive myself.
Right.
But, yeah, so it wasn't, it wasn't a bad situation. If you add up everything, even with the food that we got, we still made okay money, considering we got a lot of things taken care of.
Right.
It's not
I think it was just time for me to try something else.
It's not like the athletes that were at the Sochi Olympics, huh? Where they got to take.
This is my sit-in co-host Mike that's talking to you there for a second.
No, not like that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. I'm not really trying to delve into your personal finances or anything like that. What I'm trying to do is, for the listening audience and stuff. And I love the game. I love arena football. That's why my seats are right next to your bench, and it's such a different aspect, a different component of, football. I never will compare it to the NFL because it's not. It's a different brand of football, and that's what I tell people.
It's very different.
Yeah.
It is. You're right. It's a very exciting game. It is. It always has you on your toes, but it is nothing like NFL.
Right. And that's what I tell people, because it's like, oh, well, that's not real football. I said, well, yeah, it's real football. I said, it's not NFL football. It's a different brand of football, and it's got a lot of exciting components to it. It's not as nonstop probably as it used to be, but it's very, it's very action oriented. It's very fan friendly. It's very family friendly, which you don't get, in the NFL. And that's, there's nothing like it. You get access to you guys, and
yeah, that was the one thing that I enjoyed. I thought that was pretty cool. We were able to, go out afterwards and interact with the fans, and I could walk around the rope, and I could go see my family on the field. People would walk up to me. So,
yeah,
those are the fun things that you get out of it, of course.
Yeah, because you'll never get that experience in the NFL, and you were definitely one of the guys that, you didn't just stay behind the tables. You came out and you intermingled with,
and spoke with me for half an hour.
I don't like being caged in like that.
I don't blame you there.
I don't like being caged in. If they tell me I got to stay behind the rope, I'm probably going to go over the rope.
Right. So going along with that, and again, I'm a big advocate of the league, and I with the things that went down a few years ago, taking the year off from the league, in my own opinion, the league just hasn't been able to recover since then. I don't think the game has changed all that much. You can correct me. You're the one on the field, but outside of the horrific refereeing that's evident every week in and week out. What more? I don't understand why fans haven't come back.
I think once it becomes more mainstream, like with the new teams that they're bringing out there, like the LA Kiss, I saw.
I'm excited about
the Portland game. They got to go to different areas like that. Like Portland, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. Well,
they bring something different to the area. Same with the LA Kiss.
Yep, that's going to take off. If Gene
I
Simmons
feel that will take off very well. So they just got to keep advertising themselves and getting it out there, and eventually it will turn around to what it used to be like.
Well,
it's got to take time. It's like anything else.
Yeah, and I think the other killer is that they didn't have a real TV contract, and now CBS Sports is involved, and they're actually going to be able to really be seen nationwide rather than for us to try to catch your away games and stuff. We were lucky if we got to get it on a Ustream feed from a single handheld camera, and most of the time you couldn't get sound, and it was just a horrible experience trying to watch your away games. I think that has a lot to do with it, because back before you were playing here, we had Sunshine Network that televised every game, so there was an expanded audience.
Definitely that has a lot to do with it, because you're right. A lot of people don't get to see the away games or anything else they want to watch. You can't flip through the TV and all of a sudden there's a game on the TV like it is with the NFL.
Right. Yeah, I'm excited about this upcoming season myself. I'm sorry that you won't be there.
If they do that, I'll definitely come visit a game. I'll come to a game. Come down from Miami and come visit.
All right, that sounds good. Hey, I know Zach has a question for you as well. So go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, I do. Wasn't sure, what your stance was, but oh god, my mic is. But anyway, I'm sorry about that. My mic is messed up a little bit. But
it's okay.
What is your stance? What was it? Because I didn't see anything, because I'm just the guy watching the game. What was it that led the Storm to get rid of Coach Ewert?
It's a lot of different decisions. I think it had to do with just, the couple of years of them just being an okay team.
Mm-hmm.
We were okay for the 2 years. We did well our second year, but towards the end, the flame kind of went out. So I think it's that type of thing. It's no productivity, so they had to, try something new.
Right.
I always liked Jerick always liked me, and I did well playing for him. So I have nothing. He was always my coach. So
right.
They just didn't feel the same, I guess. They just wanted to part ways.
I really like Dave too, but I got to be honest with you. I was a proponent calling for his head. I'm a armchair quarterback. I'm not. I
think you led the revolt, right?
Yeah, I might have led the revolt. I don't know, but I couldn't be more ecstatic though with Coach Samuels now taking over. Here's what I saw as a fan, and maybe I'm wrong. You're on the field, you're part of the team, and I'm not asking you to throw anybody under the bus or anything like that. If you don't, I don't even know if I'm really getting to a question. But here's what I seemed to see from my observations. I did not get the impression that Coach Ewert and Coach Samuels were on the same page.
They were. they were, but then again, I think it was kind of they were at just different stages of what they wanted to do. With how everyone has different styles. Everyone has different styles how they coach.
Right.
Samuels and Yerk both had a different style. It doesn't mean it didn't work or it wasn't the same output, but it was just a different way that they did it.
Yeah, I mean,
no,
again,
they both got along. They both got along very well.
Right.
I knew this, but,
yeah, that's not what I was.
Everyone's different.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to say that they didn't get along. I just, in my own observations, and I could be reading more into what I saw, it just seemed to me, it appeared that there was a lot, like, Coach Ewart would say something, and Samuels would give him this look like, what the hell are you talking? What the hell you want to do that for?
Oh, that's anyone doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
In college, coaches, they argue no matter what. I've seen coaches in college scream at each other and then hug it out afterwards.
Yeah, but I think in the Arena Football League, though, with this, you don't have a whole lot of time to really do that.
No, this is true. This is very true.
I know Coach Sam. I think Coach Samuels is going to do, because honestly, you guys were right there, and I don't know if it was the injuries or the loss of Ellingson or what it was,
or McPherson,
or yourself for that matter. It just all of a sudden you guys just.
I think it was a mixture of all of it. Injuries do kill you, especially to a lot of your starters.
Yeah.
Even if say the best players weren't in there, they're in a groove with the players already in there.
Right.
And, if you switch that up, it could kill you towards the end of the season.
Yeah. Because you guys are just right up there, and I thought, okay, we're going to cruise right into the playoffs. And it was just like this sudden nosedive. And now I know, not to rub any salt in the wounds or anything, but, I know Ellingson went down, and then, Joe missed a couple games because he was, trying to advance his career to, the NFL and so forth. And of course, we lost Griffin there for a while on the defensive side. There were definitely some injuries and some things, but I just didn't see the same team I saw earlier in the year as I did towards the middle.
Yeah, you're right. It wasn't. I had to do. I think it was a little bit of all of that. Greg leaving to go to Canada, and also everyone else with their injuries. Joe doing his. It's just. You add all those things together, it will kill you no matter what team you're on.
Yeah,
absolutely. And
it's injuries to quite a few starters right there. That you're down two of the best wide receivers plus Lambeau. Thank God he didn't get hurt. But
right.
It's tough.
Exactly. Now here's a question. I'm actually personal friends of Derek Brooks, and obviously he's was your team president and so forth. What kind of a presence was he around the team, and what was that like for, having him around, and did he give you guys a lot of insight and so forth? Or I know you're on the offensive side.
He was always a very positive presence, because everyone, as a football player, you want to strive to be like him as a football player, how he is in his career and, how he was as a player and a leader. And he does, he comes in and he would talk to us and, give us advice on, what has to do with football and outside of football. So he was a great presence.
Good. Yeah. He's definitely that kind of guy. And, it's just got to be something where you just that's a guy you got to pay attention to,
Exactly.
I've known him for, just short of about 21 years now, 22 years. And I'm still, even as a friend, I'm still intimidated. I'm hesitant to call him because I was like, I don't want to.
He's too nice to be intimidated.
Yeah, well, and that's what he always tells me. He's like, Steve, you know better. You got
to realize the bigger the guy, the probably the less meaner they are. They're usually nicer.
Yeah, no, you're right. And it's like, well, he always puts me in his place. I just maybe it's my wanting to be overly respectful, and because I know he's busy and so forth, and I don't want every time I call him to seem like I'm asking, trying to get something from him or anything. But anyway, I kind of digress. But so kind of getting back to last season. Y'all made the playoffs. Call it what you will, backing into it or what have you. But I'll tell you that playoff game, you guys didn't quit for nothing. I thought we were going to pull that one out. I really did.
Yeah, you and me both. I was sitting at home. Watching on the computer with my roommate Terrence Crosby because we were both injured. And
right.
It was tough. We were just sitting there watching it, and there was so many ups and downs.
Yeah.
I was gonna have a heart attack.
no question.
We always did. We always finished no matter what. We tried our best till the end. Unfortunately, it didn't work out in our favor, but hopefully this year they pull it out and they have a great season.
Gotcha. Here's a question too, kind of an insider thing, and maybe you can clarify for me because, the way I'm kind of more familiar with how things used to work before all the league kind of reorganized or redid itself. I know back in the day, a lot of times you'd mostly find a lot of guys that are, for the most part, local, getting guys that have come out for tryouts and so forth and so on. But, obviously they get people from across the country and so forth, but they're generally regionally oriented. You're an exception, sort of.
Yes.
I mean, but what I see a lot of on the transactions and stuff that come down, it always says that, the AFL has assigned this such and such to this team. I mean, how that works now? The league determines where you go? Or
no, that's basically just saying they're not assigned. They're not assigned like they're with the team, but the team picked them up. That's just how the AFL puts it.
Okay, because I was curious about it. I'm like, wow, so is the league now dictating where you get to go play now? I mean,
they have to tell the league, obviously, and then I think what they do is they tell the league they're picking up this guy, and the AFL they accept it.
Gotcha.
Pretty much.
Okay, I got it. All right,
they got to feel in control.
That makes a little bit more sense. Okay, so now before how did you transition to an arena football league? What got you into the league? I mean, how did that all come out?
My agent. I had the same agent as George Bussey.
Okay.
So actually, it was through my agent that got me. I was going to go to the Spokane Shock.
Okay.
Originally, they called me. A lot of teams called me, and I was going to go there first. And I was already agreed to go there. And then out of nowhere, Tampa came through and sent me a contract.
Okay.
So obviously, Spokane, Washington, or Tampa, Florida. No offense to Spokane, Washington,
right.
But I do live in Miami, and Tampa was a much closer drive.
There you go. But I mean, before the arena or before your agent kind of brought up the arena league, was that even in the back of your mind something you even wanted to do, or I mean, were you trying to go to Canadian Football League or NFL or anything like that? I mean, or how?
It was not in my mind at all, truthfully. But once the whole lockout happened, it started to come out a little more because you didn't know what was going to happen.
Sure.
Through all that, everything that happened. So obviously, you had to expand your horizon a little bit. So that's what I did.
Certainly. Okay.
And I had 2 good years of it, and maybe another one, but not right now.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Perfect. Well, I mean, listen, I appreciate you calling in and giving us a little bit of insight. At least it kind of clarified a couple things for me. I hope to see you back out there on the field. I totally understand if you don't. There were a couple other players, I won't name names, that at that last home game, I was like, man, I am not coming back for this shit. And I pardon my language, but I heard that from a couple different guys there. And
everyone's different.
It's frustrating.
Some people
I'm
just
sure.
love the game of football. Some people just do it for the money, obviously.
Yep, do it for the money or the opportunity.
I love the game of football, but I'm a realistic type of person.
Right.
And that's just how it is. So, hopefully I do come back to football, but we'll see how I end up with my career first.
Absolutely. Well, I wish you well, no matter what direction you go to. Like I said, I'd love to see you back out on the field of course, in a Tampa Bay uniform and not Orlando or anything like that. But if the real estate thing takes off and you got peace within yourself not to play football anymore, obviously, I wish you well.
I might get the itch. You never know.
Maybe when the season gets going in another month or so, you'll see, right?
Yeah. You might see me come back.
If that housing market takes another nosedive, you might not have another choice.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true.
Well, Zach, you got any more questions or anything?
No, I'm set. I just want to clarify with Brad. I did not harass you to be on this show, as Steve thinks I harass you on Twitter and Instagram and all that stuff.
I said you stalk.
I do not stalk. Did I stalk you?
You didn't harass me. I love to do stuff like this.
See?
Well, also, hey, Brad. Well, let me ask you then. I assume that you'll still probably tune in during the season and so forth. You mind if we have you on later on, maybe during the season and break some stuff?
That's perfectly fine.
Cool. All right. Well, I'll have Zach get in touch with you with that. That would be awesome. I'd get a little bit of insight and have someone to kind of talk about it with. That would be great.
All right. Sounds good to me.
Okay, Brad. Well, listen, appreciate it. Thanks again, and we'll talk to you very soon.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for having me on.
You bet.
Talk to you guys.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Brad Serini, ladies and gentlemen, former Tampa Bay Storm center.
Awesome stuff. Well, let's take a quick break. There, Zach. If you got anything tuned up real quick?
I'm sure I could get something tuned up.
All right. Yeah, let's just take a quick break, kind of refresh ourselves. We'll come back, and we're still hoping that we'll hear from Kevin Falk. I don't know what the status is on that.
Me neither. That's not good that the own producer doesn't know the status.
Yeah.
Of...
You turn my mic off. See,
well, it's because me and you were communicating. We were communicating, and
I drive in here and he turns my mic off.
Mm-hmm.
But that's okay. All right? That's okay.
He pays us to be our sponsor, and I turn his mic off.
When you go to church in Louisiana, it's like an all-day thing.
Well, that's true, and if they didn't go first thing this morning,
well,
I know. No, I'm nothing against it. It's just they got the food and all that stuff. When I drive through Louisiana, I make sure I stop Sunday.
Yeah, and they're an hour behind us too. So
absolutely.
But all right, let's just take a quick 2-minute break, kind of get a little refresh. We'll come back, and we haven't even talked about the big game last week yet. So we'll talk about that and how right I was.
Michael G. Butash, attorney at law, is a former state prosecutor with substantial experience in handling all criminal and DUI matters. When you are facing charges, you want someone who aggressively defends cases ranging from minor traffic infractions to serious violent first-degree felonies. Call attorney Butash and together you'll discuss your case in person or by phone. He accepts most major credit cards and also offers payment plans. Call attorney Michael G. Butash today for your initial free consultation.
With the new year coming up, many people are going to be heading back to the gym and trying to lose weight. Nutrition is key. So, if you want to have awesome results and compete in a 90-day challenge where you can win free product, prizes, and vacations, join the Body by V Challenge with 2013 finalist Joe Peretta. Website to check it out is www.joinvi4.com. And remember, tell them 2 Cents Sports News and Entertainment sent ya. Gentlemen, it's that time. It's time for Michael G. Butash, attorney at law.
Okay, welcome back to 2 Cents Sports News and Entertainment, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully, enjoyed that last interview, and Arena Football League. We will be talking about it I encourage everybody to kind of check it out. Look, if you have a family, it's a nice experience, cheap experience. It's fan friendly, it's family friendly. You get you can get access to the players. Talk to them, shake their hands, autographs. I mean, it's just an access you don't get anywhere else. And kids get to run around on the field after the game.
Yay!
Well, you used to enjoy it, so I don't want to hear it. But
no, like the running part. That's not my really area of expertise.
But the thing is, it's also an inexpensive event to go to for
Absolutely.
even if a family of 4. I mean, they're running specials right now. Lower bowl tickets $9. I mean, look, it's 4 times 9 is 36. That's a pretty cheap night out, and if you eat beforehand, you don't have to complain about the cost of food and such in the arena.
Hey, I want to check that math you just said. 4 times 9.
It's $36, Mike Butash. Ladies and gentlemen, remember, Mike Butash is only on here for entertainment purposes.
Yes, he's an attorney, not a mathematician.
So I tell all my clients that when they try paying me, so I make them count it.
So Mike Butash, I have a quick question for you.
Sure.
Can you please explain to me why you are on for entertainment purposes only?
No.
Is it because out of 18 games you get 2 right?
Probably.
Ouch.
Probably. No, I really for entertainment purposes only. It's just the disclaimer. Because I don't want anybody trying to file any lawsuit against me for my picks.
Or misconstrue your intentions. Yes. Well, yeah. I think we've well established that your picks are pretty much
bad.
What you don't want to do.
and I tell everybody that. I don't deny that.
That's part of the disclaimer. Part of the disclaimer.
Yeah.
And last week was definitely no different. We haven't talked about the Super Bowl yet, and
I was still waiting for Tony Carter to make a play.
Well, I'm the game kind of. I mean, outside of the score, the game went exactly as I predicted. I mean, again, without the score being not what I predicted, but the concept, everything that kind of took place on the field is about what I expected. I said that Manning wasn't really going to be able to have the deep ball, and he didn't have it the entire game. I said the pass plays that would be available for him would be between the line and the linebackers. Those pretty much were all he had available to him. I said that the linebackers for Seattle were super fast, and they were super fast because when they did catch that ball, they were right on top of it. I said Seattle.
They tackle real well too.
Yeah, well, that was the other.
They wrap up.
That was one of the other points that I made. I said they're fast and they're fundamentally sound. So if you catch the ball in front of them, they're going to tackle you. And I said the pass rush was going to be the difference, in that they would get pressure on Manning, who's a pocket passer, and that was going to be the difference in the game. And again, sure enough, two bad interceptions and a fumble by Manning, and so. Essentially, I'm not going to say I'm a Karnak or anything like that, but pretty much, again, outside of the score, everything that I said was going to be the reasons why Seattle would win or how they would win is exactly pretty much what happened. Now, I certainly can't control pick sixes and safeties to start the game and kickoff returns
which
for touchdowns.
Was completely inexcusable. The first play of the game was completely inexcusable on behalf of, I don't know if it was Manning's fault or their center's fault.
It was like here's the thing. I think it was actually the center's fault, because if you go back a week before that, the same thing happened in New England. Mm-hmm. The same exact thing happened in New England, although Manning was able to bobble the ball and still managed to pass it, which was, we won't go there anymore.
Yeah.
So.
And then, I mean, I don't know if noise was a factor there, but John Fox, I think, actually came out and said that he wasn't prepared for the noise.
Yeah, I was shocked.
No,
well, but think about it. I mean, how could you be prepared? You're supposedly at a neutral site.
It's true.
And who knew? Now you know, folks, how loud Seattle fans really are, because that was clearly one of the loudest Super Bowls I've ever heard, and on TV anyway. And I think a lot of the announcers and people that were there were saying the same thing. So
well, no, I agree, but I think that it being in the Super Bowl, you have to prepare for everything.
Well, and there was sorry, I didn't. Go ahead.
No,
go ahead.
Clearly, I go further than that. Not only were they not prepared for the noise, I don't think they were prepared. Period.
And which I found surprising, because when they were being interviewed, everything I heard was they had put their game plan in the week beforehand. They left early. They got there. Everything went according to plan. They were ready to go.
Yep.
And talk about a team that looked like a deer in the headlights.
Yeah, and everybody wanted to talk about how Peyton Manning, give him 2 weeks to pick apart a defense, and he's going to do.
I was one of them. I admit it.
Well, and let me tell you.
Actually, you were.
There was a report that came out that John Fox was actually, because you know how in practices during scrimmage they bring like a big.
What did the Fox say?
I'm not going to go into that. But you know how in practices in the pros they bring a big speaker out for crowd noise? Apparently John Fox did not do that while they were practicing because he didn't know the noise level was going to be as high as it was.
Why are you gargling?
I don't know. I think it's my microphone.
I think it's the Fig Newtons you just ate.
I'm sorry.
Oh, you haven't finished your Fig Newton in your
I'm
mouth.
not.
That's why. Anyway.
Making fun of me because I'm fat.
Oh, well,
you said that.
I just said you were eating Fig Newtons.
Yeah.
If it was my choice, I'd be eating Oreos.
Hey, I got a tweet real quick. It says, "Is Scuba your dad? I've wondered."
I'm old enough to be, but no, I was actually friends with his dad before Zach was Zach.
Who's your daddy?
Yeah, exactly. But
Michael G. Butash?
I assure you not. I could be his father, but no. I've been friends with his father and his mother both actually since long before Zach was even a thought. So
shows how old you are.
Yeah, it sure does. It sure does. But no, so that should answer that question. But yeah, I mean the game is just. I mean, ultimately, I was very happy about the outcome. As far as
what was the score at halftime?
It was 22-0.
At halftime?
Yes.
Okay.
It was close to being different than that because it was 15-0.
Right.
And Denver was driving, and then they got the pick six.
Yep.
And to me, that was half the dagger. And that's, of course, that's why.
And he didn't get. Did he get hit when he threw it? I think he got hit just after that.
I think he may have been getting hit right as he threw the ball. But that was half the dagger in Denver's back. It would have been a difference of being 15-7 at half, or 22-0. 22-0 obviously is worse. And so that was half the dagger. The rest of the dagger went in on the kickoff in the second to start the second half. Percy Harvin running it back. It's 29-0 at that point. Game was over at that point. Denver was not coming back from 29 points down. I don't care if there's a whole half of football left. It just wasn't going to happen, and that was clear to me at least. And just Seattle's nasty, and I even said it last week that I think Seattle's defense is probably easily top 10 all time.
Yes.
Now you could probably after that game say maybe it's top 5 all time.
Wow.
However, Derek Brooks had a very good point about he's been asked the question too, because he was on obviously one of the great defenses of all time as well. He made a good point. It's like I think before you can really put a team into that elite category of all time defenses, you need to show you doing it on a consistent basis as opposed to just a 1-year wonder. Make a run of it for 5, 6, 7 years, and that's like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did. Unfortunately, on the offensive side of the ball, they fell short a couple of different times. They were definitely lined up for more Super Bowl wins than just the one, but their defense did it for several years. I mean, they were consistently top of the league. So I think that he brings up a very good point. So where in Seattle has the components and the people in place for this to be an elite defense of all time, I'm kind of willing to put them there now. They've kind of done it the last couple years. They really took another step this year. If they continue that, do it again the next couple years, and maybe even get to the Super Bowl again, I definitely think they're in the conversation.
I think with Seattle too is they have a lot of players that love playing football, no matter where they were drafted,
right?
Whatever positions they were playing. Because I think Richard Sherman actually played wide receiver.
He started. Yeah, that's where he.
Don't you ever talk about me.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm sorry, Richard. This is all good. Trust me. Yeah, he did. He actually went to Stanford. He was a receiver to start, and or in high school for sure he was. But yeah, he made that conversion. But so I'm willing to put them in the conversation, and here's the thing, and I touched on this last week too, and I said that Wilson wasn't going to need to put up a whole bunch of yards. That wasn't something he wanted to do, and that's not really how this team is built. He did exactly what I kind of said. He'd probably be around 200 yards passing. He'd make some plays, scrambling outside the pocket. It's precisely what he did, and that's what this team is built on. And, I see the Buccaneers, all the talk going on right now with the Buccaneers. Well, what are they going to do at quarterback? What are they going to do at quarterback? Is Glennon really the guy, or do we need to bring in somebody else? And, the stupid stuff coming out this week was the possibility of Michael Vick, and I don't even want to go down that pathway. But I think Seattle and Pete Carroll did it the right way, that, they had a quarterback in mind. They had Matt Flynn there, and then they brought in they basically built the team on their defense and knew what they wanted to do. So they built all the components of their team, and then they went out and found the quarterback to plug in to fit the style of game that they wanted to play, as opposed to going out, getting a quarterback in place, and then trying to build all the components around that quarterback. And I think that's why Seattle's been so successful. Everybody gave Pete Carroll a lot of flack for, what do you mean you're going to start this rookie over Matt Flynn, who you just signed to a huge contract? Turns out Pete Carroll knew what he was doing.
Took a lot of kahunas.
Yeah, but it turns out he knew what he was doing, because he saw something in Wilson that obviously a lot of other teams didn't see. But I think he saw a guy that was going to be exactly what this particular team needed to be successful. Now, if you were to take Wilson and put him on, say, like the Buccaneers or maybe a Steelers or another team that's built a completely different way, the question is, would Wilson be as successful?
I don't know. I think a lot of the things with Wilson were just his dimensions and how big he is, and how strong his arm is and stuff. Because when he was at NC State, I watched him just tear apart my Florida State defenses.
I know.
And I was very, very happy when he transferred to Wisconsin.
Except Glennon went and did the
Glennon
same thing.
Yeah, he did.
Those damn Thursday night games at NC State, man. Oh.
So, but when it comes to, I don't know about as far as the Bucs, if he would have done the same thing for the Bucs, because right now the Bucs are the yucks. They're just not there.
Well, I know.
But I think that they really, really, really missed Doug Martin. We cannot. You can't. What's the word I'm looking for? You can't underestimate that loss.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, even the guys that did come in and they stepped in, admirably and actually, did well. It still takes a component away from your football team. And, I'm not ready to say that Mike Glennon's the guy. I'm not ready to say he's not the guy either. I mean, the one thing I can say about Glennon is that he's not putting up huge numbers, and he, maybe he doesn't need to. Maybe he can be like a Wilson, doesn't need to put up big numbers. What I'm looking for is I want a quarterback that's not, even going back to like Brad Johnson, wasn't a great quarterback. He never put up huge numbers, but he didn't turn the ball over stupidly, and that's not even a word. But he didn't turn the ball over. He protected the ball. He knew when to kind of get rid of the ball for the most part. Doesn't take a lot of sacks unnecessarily. And that's what I do see out of Glennon, that he protects the football. And that's almost as important as putting up big numbers, because if you put up 300 yards in a game, but you've thrown 2 or 3 interceptions, well, that's a wash. And if anything, it's more of a negative. But if you're only putting up 180 or 200 yards passing, but you don't turn the ball over, and you're able to still continue to move the ball, to me, that's just as important. So,
yes.
We'll see how he does under Tedford. I kind of like that hire. We'll see what happens.
Right.
I'm excited for Lovie Smith, but the thing is, and I don't want to change the subject from the Super Bowl to the draft.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
What did the Bucs do at number 7? There's a huge predicament there because Glennon didn't go out there and prove that he's the man, or he showed glimpses, and people are like, is he going to be great or is he not going to be great? What do you do? Do you draft a quarterback there at number 7? Do you?
I don't think there's going to be any available, to be honest with you.
That's what I'm hearing.
Really?
And my guess is, and a lot of people are predicting it, and I really like the idea of it, is Khalil Mack from Buffalo.
I haven't watched him. I was a little shocked to see that, but
well, because people are like, oh, it's Buffalo.
That's true.
But this kid, man, if you get a chance to, you can get some video on him on YouTube. This kid he's the real deal, man.
They need a linebacker.
Yeah, they do need a linebacker.
Okay.
I don't see the quarterbacks that they might be considering, whether Johnny Football or anything
God.
like. Well, I'm just saying. Look, say what you want about him or whatever.
Well,
the kid's a
plays.
winner.
Look.
And he makes plays. We can debate that. We can debate that when it comes closer to the draft. That's
He's not Jameis Winston, but he makes plays.
Right. Well, arguing the quarterbacks, that's not really where I'm getting at with this. My point is that's the kind of quarterbacks you're looking at in the top 5, and the Bucs are picking 7 or whatever. I don't see the quarterback that they may even consider taking being either one of those guys. I like the idea of taking Khalil Mack. We need that linebacker, like you just said, Mike. I've seen this kid play. Actually, I do watch a lot of different games, not just the Florida State games or what have you. And I've seen this kid play a couple times. And, when I started hearing his name about halfway through the season. I was like, oh, let me check this kid out, see what he's about. And man, I'll tell you, I think that would be a great move for the Bucs. I'll be honest with you. I'm not really sure I like how I feel about most of the quarterbacks coming out this year anyway. There's just, we can break that down later on. But that's what I see.
Well, I got to be honest with you. I think that.
Well, would you lie to me first?
Probably so, yeah. I got to be honest with you, Scuba. I don't think our main concern is a quarterback. It is defense. And I think that, and I think our number one option is obviously going to be gone. That's Jadeveon Clowney. Will be gone.
Unless they trade up.
Which I don't see. I see the Rams taking Clowney. Why is my microphone screwed up?
Or is that another Fig Newton in your mouth?
That's not true.
No, I agree. And there's a couple defensive tackles that are in the draft as well, but I think the linebacker position's more important. We already got 2 solid linebackers in there right now. We get one more. Not only does it provide possibly another starter, but you're building up your depth, and I think you can overcome some of your defensive line weaknesses by having superb linebacker play, and which is really what we are getting towards with Devontae David and Mason Foster. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're getting there, and we get one more solid linebacker in there. And there's some free agents available that, at least for the time being, still have some good football in them that can be a good patchwork. Jared Allen's going to be available. I think it's a very real possibility. Well, he's still productive.
The thing is you guys realize they could have signed John Abraham last year.
Actually, they almost.
But
they had John Abraham. He had half his name signed on a contract before Greg Schiano said no.
I know, and
that's
goodbye, Greg.
Yes. So yes, John Abraham would have been a Buccaneer, but at the when. I'm obviously being facetious, but John Abraham had his name halfway signed on a contract when Schiano stepped in and said he didn't want him.
What a moron.
He was a moron.
And I say that because he's also the guy who let Michael Bennett go, who is one of the best defensive linemen in the league playing for a Super Bowl champion.
So how do you think the Bucs would have done if they would have had Michael Bennett and then John Abraham? Because John Abraham,
Gerald
they
McCoy.
Could have signed all of those players because I think Michael Bennett didn't have that big of a contract. It wasn't
unreasonable.
It was very, very reasonable
for a guy that had double-digit
sacks.
And
same with Abraham.
And I mean,
I think he signed for like $1.5 million or something like that.
He did. And everybody wants to, everybody's trying to call out Adrian Claiborne. Oh, he's a bust, and this.
No,
and
he's not.
Which is bullshit. But he's the only guy that they had when they didn't get these guys, and you can't do it all on your own. And so when you're double and triple teamed, because you got which is why McCoy had a little bit better.
You shade the running back over that way.
Yeah, I mean, so I let's take it easy on Claiborne, because Claiborne's a hell of a football player. He just doesn't have a whole lot of help out there.
Right, and I mean,
I can tell you when he went out, and I'll let you say your point.
Go ahead.
Because when he went out when last year, not this past year, the year before, Schiano's first year, the Bucs were actually, the first few weeks were top in the league in sacks, and then that's when Adrian Claiborne got injured and to miss the rest of the season, and that defensive line got no more pressure for the rest of the year, and they had Michael Bennett and Gerald McCoy at that time, and they went downhill. So don't tell me that Adrian Claiborne's a bust. He's a difference maker. But when you take away the other difference, the guys that are supposed to help him be a difference maker, he just becomes an average guy. And you were going to say something,
right? And I mean, I have 2 comments. One for this, and one for we had a tweet about Mike. But anyway, I think that
About Mike?
it was about Mike.
Oh.
If you sit here and think about it, this could have been our starting four: Michael Bennett, Gerald McCoy, John Abraham, and Adrian Claiborne.
Mhm.
What the hell is wrong with that?
Well, that wouldn't be the starting four because two of them are defensive ends. Three of them would have been defensive ends. So
Who? Well, Claiborne, is he a defensive end?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, they could move him to tackle.
No.
Yes.
No,
He's not big
he's an
enough.
outside speed rusher.
He's not
Well,
big
tell
enough.
him to get fatter.
No, dude, it doesn't work that
Okay,
way.
and our comment from for Mike is Mike's thighs are really shiny.
Well, I did I made sure that I put on some Aveeno lotion, and I was in the tanning bed yesterday.
All right.
Were you really?
No. If you can't make fun of yourself, then you can't make fun of anybody.
right.
So, but I appreciate that tweet. I'm excited. People are actually listening. So my money that I'm for sponsorship here, it's going to good things. So if anybody out there needs a lawyer, no matter what, give me a call.
Yep. Well, no. Go ahead. Actually, while you're on, go ahead and plug yourself.
No, I'm proud to announce my partnership with my good friend Sean Donovan. We formed a firm. I've been practicing law I'm into my 17th year. He's been practicing for I think a little bit more than 10. So we have a combined over 25 years experience,
Dang.
27 years. We are practicing. We do criminal defense, personal injury, family law. We do we do very simple wills and trusts. If you need one of those real quick, we can do that for you. We handle other litigation issues, but mainly when it comes to our firm, we are very personable. As it's myself and Sean. We give you our cell phone numbers, so you can call us pretty much at any time.
And that's uncommon in his field, I will tell you, because I deal with them every day.
I can tell you that I just got some of my other advertisements yesterday. Someone contacted me from the jail kiosk. Their son was arrested. It came over to my phone. I called them back right away, and that's one of the things they commented was how they were very impressed how quickly that we got back to them. So that's the main thing that we try and do. We're very we're experienced, we're effective, and we're driven. We try and get you the best results we can.
Well, tell them how they can get a hold of you.
Well, you can get a hold of us a couple ways. You can check out our website at bootashanddonovan.com. You could call the office at 813-341-2232. Again, that's 813-341-2232. We have a toll-free number of 1-866-335-3425. Again, that's 1-866-335-3425. And my cell phone is 813-766-3781.
Damn.
So if you find yourself in trouble, and of course we hope you don't, you got the man right here to call. And
get your free consultation.
Killer in the courtroom and killer on football picks. Just not necessarily meaning the same way. So there you have it, folks. And of course, if you weren't able to write any of that stuff down, you can just contact the show, and we'll be more than happy to pass along his information, to you. So definitely do that. So. But we kind of digressed a little bit. So so we were talking about I guess we were kind of digressed from the Super Bowl to talking about the draft a little bit, but
it's funny because that's how powerful football is. It's February. What is this? The 9th or 10th?
Yeah.
And we're talking about the draft that's in May.
They moved it.
Yeah.
They've moved the draft back another month. So which it used to be in April, and now it's in May. And I really hate the fact that they've stretched it over 4 days too.
I don't like that at all.
I can't stand it. It's annoying. It was bad enough before when it was just like 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. Now you got it Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday and Sunday. It's jeez.
Which it's stupid to have it on Thursdays is because, adults want to stay up and watch it, but then they're like, oh, God, I have day jobs.
Well, they should have.
It's only the first round. They get it done.
They should have sped it up, but left it at 2 days.
Yeah, I agree.
Saturday and Sunday started at 10 or 11 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Just you don't need 15 minutes for a first round draft pick. And what's happening is all the teams were taking all their time.
Yeah,
so,
and that's what it is. It's Saturdays used to be the first and second round, and then the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh used to be on Sunday, and they did start in the morning then. But there's just Thursday night you do the first round, and you got to do the second, third, I think they do the second round only, or second and third round on Friday night, and then then all the schlubs go on Saturday and Sunday. But I don't want to say schlubs because plenty of obviously talented guys are in those rounds too. But yeah, I just don't like it at all. I don't like it at all. So
we got baseball starting up.
We got
here.
baseball. We've got another week.
I'm very excited about that. I think the Rays are going to be really good.
Eh.
Well, what was that look for?
Eh. And I'm a Rays fan too, but
you don't like their signings.
They're okay. Grant Balfour,
38 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, he was terrible last year.
For the A's.
Okay.
Okay.
How good were the A's last year?
Yeah.
Okay. How many saves do you have?
Not too many.
You want Grant Balfour or you want Fernando Rodney, who has no idea where the ball was going?
Well, he's gone anyway.
I know.
He is gone.
He just signed a 2-year deal with somebody.
Yeah, making good money.
He signed with the Mariners. He makes $7 million a year.
$7 million a year.
Now, if Fernando Rodney, and I mean, he was great for the Rays. And you guys don't mind if I talk, right?
No.
Get the hell off the show.
No, what I'm saying though is, you look at Fernando Rodney, and that was his second pretty good year in a row, right?
Yeah.
How much are the major closers going for right now?
A very good amount of money.
Okay, so what does that talk about the market value of Fernando Rodney? People must not have liked him that much as far as the GMs go, because he signed a 2-year deal for $7 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he definitely struggled last year.
Yes, he did.
I mean, he had an amazing season a couple years ago. I think that was more of an anomaly more than anything else. I think last year was more realistic, and that's probably why.
Still throws 98 miles an hour, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
But if you don't know where it's going, like you said, that's not the kind of guy you want closing your games out all the time.
Fernando Valenzuela, when he's throwing the ball at the plate, I don't think he's looking at the plate. He's like looking up at the sky
he's looking up to make sure his hat's on crooked.
Right.
No, I think the Rays will be pretty competitive. I think they'll be up there. I mean, I'm a Yankee fan. I'm not. I know. I'm not terribly excited about the upcoming season. I like a lot of their signings, but the one thing they're not going to have there is Mo, and they haven't really signed anybody to fill that void. I know who they're going to try to put in that place, and he's functionable, but I'm just not sure how he'll hold up through an entire season. But I always get excited when baseball's about to start, and then after it starts, it's like, is it over yet? or is it August and September yet? Because honestly, baseball is just way too long of a season.
Definitely.
And it's just I get into it like the first few weeks, and then I kind of just at that point tail off from paying a whole lot of attention. I'll casually watch it, and then I really start getting back into it at the end of the summer in August, September, when things start getting interesting again. It's just too long, and
what's
meaningless a lot of times until then.
What's very anti-dramatic right now is the college basketball season.
Well, let me tell you, everything is just completely wrong.
Actually,
Duke, not
puke
up.
Say it right.
Man, okay.
I will be at a college basketball game tonight, but here, did you see last night? I saw this before coming here today. Is Martin Smart from Oklahoma State pushed a fan?
Yes, and I was watching that on SportsCenter this morning. And do you know anything more about the situation?
I haven't, because I'm just like
I
saw this morning.
I'll find something.
I saw it a couple times, and I don't think anything's come out about it just yet, other than what everybody saw in the video. We don't know what that guy may or may not have said to him, but it's inexcusable what he did regardless.
That's definitely true. And I will tell you from what I heard, and this is just from watching SportsCenter, is obviously Marcus Smart.
Marcus, you're right. I said Martin.
No, that's fine. He was supposed to be a lottery pick last year. Decided to come back to school, and he's and what you may or may not know about him is apparently he has a couple anger issues. He's kicked a chair earlier this year.
Yep.
And so the question is, how is this going to hurt his draft stock? What's going to happen? Does he really have an anger issue? But they were losing. I think it was like 63-61. Guy was going up for a dunk. There was about 8 seconds left in the game.
Yep.
Smart foul went up. It was a pretty hard foul, and when he fell into the stands, and when he got up, you can see the fan actually say something to him.
Right.
And then he turns around and pushes the fan, and
an older guy too.
Right. Now what they're what the announcer said during the game, and they played this on SportsCenter, is that he could hear what Marcus Smart was telling his coaches. What that fan said to him is that he called him the N-word.
Okay. Well, it doesn't surprise me being in Texas.
Right.
In a middle-aged man, white man.
So
but
whether or not that's true or not, I don't know.
Yes.
But that's what the announcer said, that he could overhear Marcus Smart telling his coaches.
Right.
Now, when they looked into that fan a little bit, the fan apparently is Texas Tech's super fan. He's on.
Yeah, he's well known there.
He's in a Texas Tech commercial or something like that, or a booster. You could YouTube him.
Right.
And he actually was on camera making an obscene gesture to another Texas A&M player when they played Texas A&M.
Yeah.
I think about a month or two ago.
Right. I don't doubt that he probably did say that. I mean, I really don't question. You don't do that. You can't do that. And I'm not. And that's not to say I'm defending somebody, using racial slurs. I'm not. But you as a player can't push a fan.
Right.
I mean, you saw it with the Ron Artest ordeal a few years back in the NBA. Even what happened, and I guess I don't blame him. You're going to react to something like that. I can't put myself in his shoes. I mean, honestly, I'll admit that I would probably end up doing the same thing.
Sure.
I'm not saying that. All I am saying is that you just can't do that. And then the fact that he was allowed to continue to play, that shouldn't have happened either. Not only just because of what he did, but for his own safety, because obviously Texas Tech ended up winning that game.
Their fans stormed the field.
Their fans stormed the court, and he's vulnerable. You don't know. Someone could have a pen and stab him with a pen. They could do, anything could happen. And I just think that was a dangerous situation. He should have been taken out of the game for what he did, and then just for his own safety on top of it, in that atmosphere, get him out of there.
Well, and for the fans that didn't see it, I actually have the video queued up. Okay. So you want me to put that on there real quick?
Yeah, if you want to go ahead. You just missed it. You missed it.
Did I?
Yes.
I apologize, folks.
You started it like right when it happened.
All right, you ready? Yeah. Hold on. 3, 2.
Smack talk.
Smack talk 1.
And a technical foul. Marcus Smart has been teed up.
That's about it. And then the rest of it's just them holding him back and so forth. So, so that's it. And he does. Yeah, they say he's got some anger issues and so forth. We'll see what happens.
Grow up. It's almost like a Richard Sherman thing. Grow up.
He's going to be suspended.
I mean, ultimately, he may not play again this year. And that's really probably what should happen. You can never assault. I mean, he assaulted somebody on national TV, and I realized the game was tight. Oklahoma State's been on a terrible slide.
Yeah, I think this was their 4th loss in a row.
4th in 5 games or something like that, and they were a top 5 team before, and so definitely a lot of frustration. But he just committed an assault, regardless of somebody verbally assaulted him or not. He physically assaulted somebody. You're an attorney. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I think that
it's almost a battery.
It actually was a battery here in Florida under the definitions. But the issue is, I think that just opens up a whole can of worms as to people suing other people and fans. And I think Dennis Rodman kicked the cameraman one time, and the cameraman sued him.
Yep.
And we'll just see what happens. But there's no doubt that he should be suspended.
Yep.
And the question is going to be how long.
I gotta tell you, I would assume that it'd be for the rest of the year.
I would think maybe through the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I know they're not going to want to do that because he's a star. He's one of the star players. I mean, you would hope that if it were a bench guy that doesn't ever hardly play, he'd be done for the season. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do on this. I don't want to pass judgment on this kid. I mean, if someone's shouting racial slurs at me, being honest, I'd probably do the same thing he does. And even though I know it's wrong, and and I certainly have, I train and discipline that not to do that kind of thing. But in that kind of atmosphere and that intensity, and you're already going anyway. I'm not going to say I don't blame him, but I do blame him, and I'm not really defending him, but at the same time I kind of am. it's going to be interesting to see what happens from this.
I mean, would you agree with me at least that it's a learning experience and it's time to grow up a little bit?
No, I think
No.
absolutely that. Well, I think that you have to realize that if you are in that type of environment, that stuff is going to get said, that
Right.
stuff's going to happen to you, and you just got to let it roll off your shoulder.
Yeah. Because I was actually watching Inside College Basketball. That's where I saw it this morning first, and unlike most people in this Tampa Bay area, I actually very much enjoy college basketball. And Wally Serbiak was on there. He's a former player. And they had another former player on there, and they were saying it's like, or former coach, excuse me.
Wally Serbiak has great hair.
Yeah, doesn't he?
Just like mine.
Just like you,
Yeah.
you're like the John Stamos of all lawyers.
But they were saying this is the thing that you come across almost at every game. There's somebody that you're going to hear things, and they're going to be racially in charged. They're going to be personal attacks and so forth, and they're just things you're going to hear, and you're just going to have to. I hate to say you have to take it. I don't like to word it that way, but in essence, that's.
I think you have to expect it.
Right, expect it, and in that case, you have to.
You have
react
to learn
accordingly.
Exactly, and I can tell you this: for Marcus Smart, it's probably just going to get worse now.
I agree. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised that. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if they took him out. Suspended him for the rest of the season, including the tournament. I mean, I think regardless of what was said to him or not, you assaulted or battered somebody. That's an arrestable offense if he does that out on the street. That's you kick somebody. That's where you get kicked off your football or your basketball team. And I think anything short of that is going to be unjustified. I'm not saying I'm not sitting here and saying I'm supportive of that happening, but I guess I kind of am. I just because I think if it were any other person, that's exactly what would happen. So it's going to be interesting, and I think it's going to go beyond that, like you said, Mike. That once he's obviously going to be in the NBA in a few months from now, when they have the NBA draft, and then he's going to have money. And guess what? I guarantee you, this guy's probably going to come crawling and try to get his piece of the action. I would not be shocked in the least. This guy obviously has money himself.
I'm hoping he calls me.
Yes, exactly. So, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But college basketball is starting to pick up now and getting closer to March Madness, and like it or not, we'll end up talking about it on this show because I do enjoy college basketball.
Yes, but you do not enjoy pro basketball.
I do not. The NBA is horrible.
It is so true.
It's a terrible product.
So true.
Terrible product.
Oh, it is. It's awful.
But I wonder if we're gonna get that call in or not.
I don't know.
We're up against it on time, but
I mean, we can keep going.
I can keep going.
We can keep going all day if we want to.
We already talked about we can still talk some more baseball, but what about the Olympics started this week?
They did. Very boring, and I say that, and everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, yeah, but the figure skating's cool." No, it's not.
Well, listen, the Olympic televised Olympics are pretty much geared for women.
Yes.
I mean that's just a fact, and that's why you're going to see you're going to see every single figure skating event imaginable. All the cool sports and stuff you're not necessarily going to see because let's be honest. I mean, women tune into the Olympics a lot more than men.
I can tell you.
Go figure.
The one sport I'm looking forward to is the bobsled with Lola Jones.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly. Nothing wrong with seeing her in a nice skin tight outfit.
No.
In fact, they had a video of her actually modeling the outfit. It's pretty interesting.
Everybody needs to lay off Lola Jones.
Yeah.
They're ragging on her because they're just like, you're really not that great. They're just looking for your looks. I'm like, so what?
Yep.
Yeah.
And
it's good for us.
Hey, she couldn't get the gold medal she was expected to get in the Summer Olympics. So as a track and field person, let her try to get it in the Winter Olympics.
Well, and
Why
it's
not?
pretty obvious that the Summer Olympics are a lot more entertaining. Can we agree on that?
What was that? The Summer Olympics are more entertaining?
Absolutely.
Oh, there's no question. I mean,
okay.
The Winter Olympics, I mean, outside of the, hockey and so forth, I don't, I have it on my side TV at home. I'm not really in-depthly paying attention to it.
Scuba is very technologically advanced. He has like 16 TVs in his living room all hooked up together.
Well, not quite 16, but I have multiple TVs. But that's just me. But the snowboarding, that's kind of the big thing now, and the skiing and so forth.
Yeah.
So, but my thing is that the conditions that are going on there. So
I'm really enjoying the tweets, that's for sure. I find it just absolutely amazing.
Well, they've had the Olympics for however many years, or known they're going to have this for so many years, and the fact that these things they're not even completely built yet.
No.
And there's construction still going on all over the place.
Where'd the money go?
Well, that's just it.
Yeah.
Because they were given $58 billion. Mm-hmm. They've at least admitted to spending 50 of it. So where'd the other 8 or 9 billion go?
Did you hear on my way here, I guess?
Because I wasn't in the car with you.
You didn't say
on
that
my
you
way
were.
here, I was listening to the radio, and apparently an English woman bobsledder, was at her hotel and stepped into an elevator that wasn't there.
Oops.
And fell, and now she's hurt.
Great.
So that's one of the things. Now, how far she fell and how bad she's hurt, I don't know, but apparently she has to withdraw from competition.
Should I not be laughing at that?
Well, no. I mean, it's funny, but it's not funny. But you got that, and then they've got rooms where they don't want you to flush toilet paper down the toilet. You got to do your business and then throw it into a bucket. The water is coming out brown. I mean, you've got just things hanging out of the wall. You've got construction going on around you, and somebody made it, I posted something about this on my own personal Facebook page, and I had another friend, well, I can walk through Detroit and get you pictures that are a lot worse than the conditions there. And I was like, dude, it's not even the same thing. It's not the point that it's being made here.
The Olympics aren't in Detroit.
Yes, the Olympics aren't in Detroit, first of all. But secondly, the point being is that they've had these so many years to be yes, exactly, to get this stuff ready, and then the fact that it's not, there's missing money, and this is the Olympics. You're putting on a show for the entire world, and bringing in people from the entire world, and this is what you've got. This isn't a comparison of the city of Sochi or the town of Sochi. That's not what I'm talking about. We can do that comparison. It's completely different. It's not the point.
Mm-hmm.
The point is exactly what Mike just said. It's about, this is an Olympic event. The conditions being that the Olympic Village is incomplete, and these athletes they have to sit next to each other,
while
in
they're
toilets.
going to the bathroom.
Yeah, you can't flush, you can't do this, you can't do that because things aren't working right. That's just, there's no excuse for that. I mean,
where are the Summer Olympics going to be next time? Aren't they
Rio de Janeiro.
And I'm wondering, I'm hearing stuff about that it's almost going to be very, 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 very similar because of what's going on there. So.
Yeah, it just amazes me. I mean, because look, these things aren't necessarily, these decisions are made based on campaigning and kickbacks and all sorts of things. The Olympics are an extremely corrupt event, and it's just gotten progressively worse. And
they tried cleaning it up too, and it didn't work.
No, it actually got worse, and that's why you're finding. I mean, who until now has really heard of the city of Sochi before?
I never.
I mean, honestly. So you clearly, something got these Olympic Committee people to approve this, them getting these, and it's clearly they got them, and they didn't deserve them, and shouldn't have had them, but. It's a shame that this is kind of taking over a front forerunner to the games themselves. I mean, even first night on, Bob Costas had a swollen eye, and it was all red and such because I guess they didn't have pills or something, so they had to give him a pill that somebody else apparently had used, and he got some kind of, I don't know if he got pink eye or what it was, but I mean, this stuff is just crazy. So, be interesting. Hopefully the rest of the games go, but we're going to take a couple-minute break here. We're going to check on, if our possibility of getting our final guest, Kevin Falk, former Patriot and LSU running back, and we'll see where that goes. If it doesn't look good, we may have to end up cutting out because we are cutting into some extra time here. So stick with us. We'll be back in a few.
Have you ever wanted to be a part of a charity? Well, look no further. Ladies and gentlemen, 2 Cent Sports News and Entertainment's friend Derek Brooks and his charity are here to help. Ladies and gentlemen, you may check out everything pertaining to this foundation, whether it's on the field, behind the mic, or in the community. Ladies and gentlemen, donations, programs, appearances, sponsors, and to even contact the charity, ladies and gentlemen, go to www.db55.org. And also go to that Facebook link on his page and become a fan of the official Derek Brooks charity, DB55.
Okay, welcome back to Sports News and Entertainment. Wrapping it up here on Sunday morning / afternoon. We have run over a little bit today, and yes, turn the camera correctly.
I apologize.
We have lost our in studio guest. He had to take off.
Well, thank you, Michael G. Butash.
Yes, we do appreciate that. Appreciate your contribution, your sponsorship, etc., etc. It's looking a little grim about getting our advertised guest, Mr. Falk. I had a feeling it might happen, not just because I don't believe he's going to call. I believe he's going to call, but I think that the hour difference between us and where he's at is probably the main component.
Yeah, you know what it is I guarantee you that I'm going to get a call at 2 o'clock and while we're off, which is because it'll be 1 o'clock their time. So that's what's going to end up happening. And what I'll do, folks, I'll try and schedule another time for him to jump on, maybe next week or sometime in the near future.
Or find out how we can accommodate him and his church schedule and so forth. So apologize for that not coming through. I'm not disappointed in him. I'm just disappointed because I'm certain it's exactly that. It's just a time thing. Just like last week was the same thing. Our calling guest was a church-going fellow, and he called us right around this time at the end of the show, and it's just a timing thing. So I think you're right. He's probably going to call, which will be 2 o'clock our time, 1 o'clock his time, and it's just a timing thing. So we'll have to try to see if we can accommodate him a little bit better, and see if we can work out schedule that again. So I am looking forward to speaking with him. But I do want to say, I appreciate, the contribution by, Wally, our caller earlier, that we were, debating with and so forth. Anybody that's listening, understand that, I'm not one that's I'm not going to be one of those, hosts or something that's going to hang up on you or anything. I may cut you off because, again, it's my show and I will dictate how the show runs, but I'm going to still give you your piece. I will, unless you're, obviously rude or inconsiderate or anything, something like that, but if you're having an intellectual conversation, making good arguments and things of that nature, I'll have any conversation with you as need be. I'm never going to cut you off, again, unless you're being, getting personal, being rude or, inconsiderate and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what this show is about. Your opinion will be heard just as much as, I produce my opinion. And, so just understand that. So I encourage people to call in and, as we continue to do the show, I'm getting phone calls right now. I'm going to have to call this person back. So hopefully they can hear me. But I'm on my show, so I will call you back in just a moment.
Who was that? If you would like to,
it's my friend that I'm going to the basketball game with tonight. He's probably just trying to firm up plans, but I am still broadcasting. So, anyway, folks, listen, we got a lot of things coming up. We got football season's over, or at least NFL season's over. We got arena football coming up. We got baseball coming up. We may start talking we're going to start probably talking a little bit of baseball next week. We'll maybe start working on breaking down the upcoming season. And is this our call maybe?
I don't know. Let's find out.
What's the area code?
Caller, welcome to the show. What's going on? What do you want to talk about?
The Seahawks win the Super Bowl.
All right. You want to take this one?
Okay. And what's your name?
Joseph.
Hey, Joseph. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Thank you. I just want to say just go Seahawks, and this Super Bowl is like a really big win for us.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really good to see, something big happen in Seattle. I mean, the Mariners, no, we're not going anywhere really.
Well, they're making some moves. They got Robinson Cano and Fernando Rodney, I believe, signed.
Fernando Rodney, yeah, but I still don't think that's enough. I still think we need more players than just that. And I just want to say, I was not expecting this Super Bowl to be like a blowout. I really thought it was gonna be like a close game.
I think everybody thought that.
Yeah, I was shocked.
I knew Seattle. Oh, I didn't know, but I mean, was pretty sure that Seattle was going to win the game, and I don't know how long you were listening, but pretty much everything outside of the score went exactly the way I thought it would. So I was. It
was after that. It was after that pick six was when I thought that sealed the deal. Like after that, I mean, there's no way. I mean, Payne. I mean, much respect to Payne. I mean, he's I think the best quarterback of all time. But I just couldn't see him coming back. I mean, because our defense was just like too much for him, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right.
I think the 22 points was. I as I stated earlier, I said I think that was half the dagger, and then starting the second half with a kickoff return by Percy Harvin, that was the final dagger. And that game was over at that point for sure, and there was definitely no coming back at that point. I mean, Seattle.
That was one fast man.
Yeah, Seattle scored in every way possible. They scored on a safety. They scored on a pick six. They scored on a kickoff return, a rushing touchdown, and a passing touchdown. Just about every way possible.
And the field goals.
Well, yeah, of course, and then the field goals. Really the only way short of that they didn't score was on a punt return or a blocked field goal or blocked kick. So, but they scored just about every way imaginable. It was,
pretty much.
It was pretty amazing, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, it's a big win for us. I mean, most people are saying that it's like the worst Super Bowl because like it was not a fun game. Mm-hmm. Well, for me, it was fun, obviously. But yeah, it was a great game, and just really happy and excited. Looking forward to next season.
No doubt. Are you in Seattle now, or are you just from Seattle, or?
Oh no. Yes, I'm from not in Seattle. I'm from Tacoma.
Okay.
Around that area, but yeah.
Still, yeah, they've always had a great fan base, no question about it. And
Oh yeah.
And I used to be, I was a fan, but not like as my favorite team. But I really had a love for the Seahawks. Probably you sound like very young, so probably before your time.
He's actually my age.
Okay, I was a fan of them back in the early '80s and such, with guys that you probably haven't heard of: Jim Zorn, Dave Craig, Kurt Warner, the running back. Back in the early to mid '80s. So, and Steve Largent was one of my favorite players of all time. So.
Oh yeah. Kurt Warner of the C, right?
Kurt Warner with a C, correct, exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
And Chuck Knox, and I was the head coach and called Ground Chuck, as they used to call it, because they were a heavily running team.
Oh my God.
Yep. Dave Craig and
wow.
Brian Blades and Kenny Easley, and also I go back a ways, but yeah. So there's still a little bit of love in my heart for them, but even though they were in the AFC back then and so forth. So I was pulling for them. But. Yeah, it was. As a Seattle fan, it definitely was a good outcome. The game itself wasn't very entertaining, but I enjoyed it because anytime Peyton Manning can falter again in a big game, it's always a good thing. There's no question about Peyton Manning definitely being one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. However, if I ever have to have a game on the line, he's going to be one of my last picks ever because. He couldn't win the big game in college. He's 11-12 in playoffs and 1-2 in Super Bowls in the NFL. That's not a guy I want on my team when the game's on the line.
So, yeah, I know. I still think Peyton Manning's like a Super Bowl material type of guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll pick Tom Brady over him, and when it comes to those type of games.
No question.
Well, and you're not going to get any argument here. Scuba is actually a big Patriots fan.
Mm-hmm. No question. Anything else, Joseph?
Nothing really.
All right. Well,
that's all I wanted to say.
All right. Well, I appreciate the call. Congratulations on your team winning.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
We got it.
That was fun. Good call.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, cool.
Don't you ever talk about me.
Well, I wasn't talking about you.
No, that's Richard Sherman.
Oh boy.
Oh man.
So
this is going down quick.
No question. Anyway, so did you just try to call me?
Maybe.
Why you got 2 missed calls? Why do I have 2 missed calls?
Oh, I called you on the way here. Oh, yeah, okay, folks, real quickly. Scuba, he normally shows up at about, 10:30, 10:20, something around there. Okay. Today he shows up at 10:48. What the hell were you doing?
I'm taking my time.
Yeah, taking your time. I'm sitting here getting frazzled.
Well, I had to stop for Monster, my unofficial sponsor, and get some water. So that took up a couple minutes.
Are you guys for scuba?
Exactly. So, well, anyway, looks like unfortunately we're not going to get our guests today, and we are running over on time. And since we don't have any other callers, I guess we'll just kind of wrap up. But coming up, like I said, we got Arena football's coming up. It's the first home game for the Tampa Bay Storm is on March 14th. We're talking about that. We got baseball coming up, so we will start talking a little bit of baseball, college basketball. We're starting to head into the tail end of the college basketball season. I will be going to a basketball game tonight, UCF and UConn over in Orlando, and we will be talking March Madness when it rolls around. And of course, as a listener, if you got any topics or anything you want to discuss, or obviously always welcome to call, post, tweet, whatever it is you want to do. Get us that subject. We'll definitely talk about it. And then of course, you got the Olympics going on still for the next couple of weeks. So we will touch on when real sports start going on this week and we start having some results, and we'll touch on a little bit of Olympics. I can't tell you I can talk wholeheartedly about it, but I'll pay attention as much as I possibly can.
Yeah.
So anything you want to add there?
Yeah, I do. Real quickly, thank you very much for our sponsor, Michael G. Butash, attorney at law. He was the man sitting to Steve's right.
Left.
Was left, right?
My left, but on my right on the screen.
Thank you. God. Anyway, so follow me on Twitter at 2CentZach. I tweet everything about the show, all the topics we talked about, all the things we talked about, videos, etc. Like us on Facebook at 2 Cent Sports News and Entertainment.
Please post a like if you haven't done so already. The more likes we get on that page, the more exposure we can get. And
yes.
So
check out the website www.2centshow.webs.com. I monitor that as well as Scuba. I have to send everything I post through him because I can't spell worth my life
or punctuation
or punctuate like.
You can find all our past shows and so forth also on YouTube.
Yes,
and I believe it's under 2 cents, the number 2.
It should be.
Yeah.
And then also, again, I got to give a quick plug to Taylor, her YouTube channel. It's MEHH. It's Taylor. And the reason I keep doing this is because it's actually a pretty good channel. I wouldn't plug someone who's not good. She's a good friend of mine. Very good channel. Thank you, Talk Wad Studios. And let's see. Let's go through my paper here. And that's it for me. Thank you.
All right, folks. Well, there you have it. Tune in again next Sunday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. or a little bit over. 2 Cent Sports News, Entertainment. Check us out. Thanks for listening. You all have a great week.
And now, this is the moment fans around the world have been waiting